welcome. It is senior night here at Antamarino Stadium and a big-time rivalry matchup with two teams headed in different directions tonight. It's the Gateway Gators and the Woodland Hills Wolverines here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Josh Urish, Vince Russo on the call tonight for what should be a good one here in Big East action and a beautiful fall night for football as the Gators and Wolverines ready to take action here on the field. Thanks everyone for joining us. Josh, as we jump into the action tonight, again, two teams headed in very different directions. The Gators reeling after a couple close conference losses. The Wolverines seem like they're starting to pick up steam.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a Woodland Hills team that started off with a really tough non-conference schedule, and as they've gotten into conference play, they won the conference last year, first time in a long time, and now they're rounding into maybe being a WPIAL title contender. It's loaded in at the top of 5A, but this looks like a team that could be competing, especially with all the talent and experience that they have on the roster, and we'll get into that. Gateway on the other side, it's kind of another year in a transitional phase, if you will, and that's especially the case with a freshman quarterback, and we'll talk about Mason Mitchell as well, but he's playing really well, so that gives you a lot of hope that you can claw back into this playoff race, especially a close loss to Penn Trafford last week, a team that's going to be in the mix as well.
The Gators have been shorthanded seemingly all season long. Elvis Kuchakis knocked out early in the season. Guys like Craig Schultz not available for the Gators. Jackson Smith has been in and out of the lineup. So the Gators have been trying to make do with sort of a hodgepodge of starters and reserves. S.J. Moorfield has missed some time as well early in the year, and that kind of segues into talking about some of these skill position players. You see on your screen, Mason Mitchell on one end, a freshman who has looked calm, cool, collected, taking good care of the ball early in his Gators tenure, going up against a senior-laden quarterback here in Cam Walter for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Mason Mitchell coming into this one, 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. That's not really what you'd expect for a freshman, and it's not just all screen passes. Yes, they get him into rhythm with some short stuff, but they push the ball down the field with this young quarterback. On the other side, Woodland Hills, it's Cam Walter, the senior, 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Maybe not as big of numbers as you'd expect, but it's a team with a lot of playmakers. They can spread the ball around really effectively, and they have a good running game that they lean on as well.
That'll take us right up to kickoff. Again, a beautiful night here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. The Wolverines will kick off. Means the Gators will get the ball first. Danny Fataki, 6-foot, 180-pound freshman, will kick the ball off. And it's the usual kick returners back Terrence Cole along with Nazir Diggs for the Gators, who will start with the ball here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania as we get ready for kickoff here. Gators in their home, black uniforms, black pants, gold trim, gold numerals, black helmets. Wolverines in their road, white uniforms, white shorts. Powder blue numbers, black and blue helmets, turquoise, as I get corrected by our crew comprised of primarily Woodland Hills alums, including Adam Gusky, Lee Schaefer Jr., Lee Schaefer III, amongst others. Also Dale Breakall of McKeesport. Josh Urish, you're a Deer Lakes guy yourself. I hail from Freeport. We have the whole crew put together, and oddly enough, Bree Gusky, our only Gator. But we are represented across the WPIAL, and we are underway here. That kick goes out of bounds for the Wolverines. And so the Gators will start with great field position on the right hash, 35-yard line, as they'll go right to left across your screen here against Woody High, as you see there on the uniforms, the nickname of the high school for the Wolverines, who enter this contest at 5-2, the only remaining unblemished team in Big East play. They took it to Armstrong last week in a battle of unbeatens, won that game 50-14. Gators 2-5, 2-2 in conference. They'll hand it to Julian Dancier out of the shotgun snap. He'll gain about 2 yards on first down.
See the pre-snap motion, S.J. Moorfield motioning into the backfield. Gateway does a lot of that with their #1 receiver, just trying to draw attention to him, and that'll be important with this linebacking core for Woodland Hills, led by Ziggy Moore, the 3-star recruit committed to NC State. We'll see a lot of #7 in white tonight.
Moore right now sort of right smack dab in the middle of that defense, staring across the line at Mason Mitchell, the freshman quarterback, who goes play action and nearly throws a pick six. A tremendous defensive play by the Wolverines as that one tipped at the line of scrimmage, almost intercepted. Take another look at the big D end there.
Mitchell looking to get the ball out quickly to Tyree Gowder. Donche Mosley, the junior, 6'4", 220, a lot of size on this Woodland Hills defense, a lot of length. It's going to be difficult to get those throws to the perimeter quickly. Might need some cut blocks or something from the Gateway offensive line to create those throwing lanes.
Play clock down to 9. Just like that, it's 3rd and long for the Gators here on their first offensive possession. Diggs in motion. They'll fake the handoff to him. Mitchell under pressure, and it's intercepted by the aforementioned Ziggy Moore, who runs over a down lineman for the Gateway Gators before he's upended at the 28-yard line. So a rough start for the Gators and a rare turnover for Mitchell, who's been really good the last few weeks at taking care of the ball. Yeah,
I mentioned 13 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions, and tries to bail out to his right side on that one. Just an ill-advised throw. You want to just take the sack, punt it away at that point. Tried to force something, and now it's great starting field position for Woodland Hills.
The Gators coming off a heartbreaking rivalry loss last week to Penn Trafford, a game in which they had a 23-7 halftime lead, forced 3 turnovers on the Warriors. Looked like they were in the driver's seat, but weren't able to score in that second half. As right on cue on first down, we didn't get a chance to talk much about the receiver matchup in pregame, but we got a really good one tonight. We know the Gators have S.J. Moorfield, but for Woodland Hills, it's Scoop Smith, one of the most electrifying players in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe not the biggest number so far this year, 34 catches, 537 yards. Still big numbers, great production for anyone, but compared to what he's done in past seasons, but you know how prolific he can be and what a big-time playmaker he can be for Woodland Hills.
Handoff inside, and a healthy gain on second down after Scoop Smith had the 3-yard reception. That carry, that time by number 23 for Woodland Hills, Taylor Reed, their primary ball carrier.
They'll work in Ziggy Moore as well into this backfield. They have a bit of a backfield by committee and spread the ball around in the passing game as well, but Taylor Reed toting the rock primarily for the Wolverines.
Brings up 3rd down for the Wolverines now in plus territory. And that one is intercepted. Or is it? It is. The Gators come away with a big-time turnover. It's Cam Walter slow to get up after taking a hit on that one. And it's the senior here on senior night, Carlos Diggs, coming away with the turnover.
Yeah, look at this throw over the middle, just trying to work back to his receiver, Landon Akins, and throws it behind him. You want him to sit down in zone coverage. I think that was the wrong throw regardless. Akins was covered up pretty well. Just a couple of short kind of stick routes, trying to move the chains. And I mentioned in the pregame, both of these quarterbacks don't really turn the ball over. Well, they both did, and now we're basically back to square one with Gateway's offense heading back out there.
2 minutes, 2 turnovers, no points on the board. The Gators able to escape after throwing to the other team in their own territory. Mason Mitchell with a fresh set of downs now and a new lease on life in a scoreless game. They'll pass it back to Moorfield. Trick play. Moorfield just throws this one up. And boy, is he lucky that wasn't intercepted, because that was a lame duck throw that hung up there for what felt like an eternity. And 2 Wolverines collided with each other. Might have been some saving grace for this Gators offense. One
of the defensive backs for Woodland Hills bid on it, but when it's that long of a throw and not your typical quarterback making it, you still don't want to throw it up into traffic. You know, something might be up when you throw throw a backwards pass behind the line of scrimmage. Tried to work up the trick play, and now Gateway's just lucky it eventually fell to the turf.
Brings up 2nd and 10. Gators with the ball at their own 17-yard line. Handoff, and a big gash there by Julian Dancier. He has first down yardage up close to the 30-yard line, hit the hole hard, and was rewarded with a lot of running room.
Positive run on the first play of the game for Dancier, and then Gateway kind of went away from it. It ended quickly with the turnover, the first drive for the Gators, but I was interested to see when they'd go back to Dancier. Looks like they're getting some movement in the trenches early.
They'll go back to the ground here, and that time the Wolverines are up to the task, and they stop that one before it even gets started. Dansira gets dumped all the way back at the 15, and a flag comes out late. See if perhaps there was a little unnecessary roughness, or with that flag being sort of on the near side, if it might have been something along the boundary. But first indication looks like it's going to be against the Wolverines, a holding call. Going to be 5 yards for the Gators.
See if we can take a look at it, but this run gets blown up pretty early. Gateway tried to go with more of a gap scheme, pulling guards on the interior, and against a really fast defensive line in second level for Woodland Hills, that could be problematic at times tonight. They might want to stick to zone blocking, duo runs, that type of thing, to let your running back get downhill a little bit and not worry about trying to pull and beat a defensive lineman or defensive end to the spot.
So now first down and 5 for the Gators.
Go back to the zone run.
Again, and he's able to get away from a few would-be tacklers, keeps his balance, which is enough for a second surge that leads to a first down.
This is a Gateway offensive line that has suffered some injuries throughout the year. No Craig Schultz out there in this one, but they're getting a lot of movement, and Tyree Gowder blocking on the perimeter. To run the ball, you got to get everybody involved, and so far, Gateway's doing that.
Tackle on the outside made by Tamir Walker, senior defensive back. A senior heavy Wolverines team that at 5-2 and undefeated against competition under 6A, trying to secure a top seed in the postseason, trying to run away with the conference title. It's a fun fact, the Wolverines, this is now the second year in the reclassification since they rejoined the Big East last year, haven't lost a game in conference, been totally unblemished. Trying to keep that rolling here. No gain on first down, brings up 2nd and 10 for Mitchell and the Gators offense. And again, it's a trick play. The flea flicker this time. Time to throw, and had Dansira underneath, but again, a heady play. Another tipped ball by Donshea Mosley, who's done it twice now in as many drives.
Yeah, a ton of length on the edges for Woodland Hills, and that's proving problematic for the freshman quarterback again. Luckily, it wasn't a turnover, and smart by Mitchell not to force that. Sometimes you draw up a flea flicker, a trick play of some sort, and your quarterback is just dead set on trying to make it worth it and push it downfield. Smart of him to go to the check down, but when you got a 6'4" defensive end with a ton of length, sometimes that isn't even easy.
Gators burn a timeout here with 7:55 left in the first quarter. Let's talk a little more about Donshea Mosley. He gives up a little weight on the interior, 220 for a down lineman defensively, but boy, at 6'4", that wingspan has been a real issue here for the Gators in the early going. 2 batted balls by Mosley.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mentioned the length and the speed of this defensive line for Woodland Hills is showing up, not just with those batted balls, but for the tackle for loss that they got that was ultimately nullified by the penalty, the holding. Defensively, I just think any of those counter runs, pulling guards, things like that are going to be difficult for Gateway tonight. They need to get their running backs downfield quickly, stick with zone blocking, inside zone, duo, things like that, where you're not letting the speed of Woodland Hills really take over.
Be remiss if we didn't wish a happy senior night to both of these squads. It's senior night here at Antamarino Stadium. We were able to bring you the festivities in pregame. Hopefully you were able to tune in for that. Quick throw on 3rd down, and the Gators will get it out close to midfield, and Dansira refuses to go down in what looked like was going to be a passing play that would be 2-3 yards short of that line to gain. For the second time tonight, Dansira able to keep his balance, and it produces a first down for the Gators. It
is not often that you see a high school quarterback at all, let alone a freshman, get to his 4th read. You saw him downfield, 1, 2, 3, got to the check down number 4, got it out, and then made something of it. Dansira with the ball in his hands making a play. He had the protection to do it, but also the poise to stand in the pocket and get through his progressions.
So Mitchell rewarded for that patience, and now tries to hit Moorfield across the middle, and that's been one of the areas that Mitchell has shown some opportunity to continue to grow as a quarterback, is that deep ball and the touch just a little off this season. And that time, you see, he had Moorfield, the WPIAL's leading receiver in terms of yards.
That throw is so difficult for any quarterback. You need so much touch to layer that into the second level. Mitchell's been fearless throwing the ball over the middle of the field, and it hasn't resulted in a lot of turnovers throughout most of the year. That time it almost did. Tips and overthrows. Got to get those, and Woodland Hills had a chance.
Play action pass. They'll get it out to Casey Carter, who makes a few miss and is able to get a nominal gain on second down, pushes further into Woodland Hills territory. It'll be about 3rd and 7 at the 45.
Going back to last week, something that Gateway did really well in the first half against Penn Trafford when they built that lead, screens, quick passes to Dancier and to Casey Carter. Those are your tackle breakers, your tackle missers, and Carter, again, getting an early touch in this one. I really like that for the Gateway offense.
Movement on the line. The Gators think they got Woodland Hills to jump on 3rd and medium, and it looks like they did, as the Gators will start marching forward 5 yards. And Josh, that makes this a much more manageable 3rd down now for the Gators.
Yeah, Mosley heads to the sideline, and in comes Sincere Campbell, 335 pounds. So certainly a different look on 3rd and short compared to 3rd and long when they had their pass rushing package out there.
It makes you wonder, with that ball at around the 40 and the Gators looking to pull the upset, does this become 4-down territory? Should they come up short here? Flag is down in the secondary. We'll see what that's about. As it stands, Mitchell fell forward and is at the line of scrimmage. It looks like this is going to be another holding call on the Wolverines. Take a look there. Our officiating crew getting the call in on that one. So our officials for tonight: William Booner, the referee; Mark Tortorella, the umpire; James Hoby, the head linesman; Jason Guthrie, Paul Covell, and John Barley rounding out the crew. And they got the call on that one, and it results in another 1st down for the Gators.
Couldn't quite see where it was. Might have been S.J. Moorfield at the top of his route as he tried to break towards the perimeter. Got a little bit of a tug, but I don't know if that's what drew the flag.
So the Gators now close to the 30-yard line of the Wolverines. They'll go with another screen here and a big hit. Out in the flats, getting upended there for the Gateway Gators is Jaden Stammer with his first touch. And laying the wood there is Ziggy Moore, the aforementioned NC State recruit.
I mentioned how I didn't love pulling guards and things like that for this Gateway offense. I love it there on the false pull screen because you're getting the flow of the defense the other way. It didn't work, but I think that's using their speed and aggressiveness against them. I really like that play call.
Gain of 1 on 1st down. Across the middle, and again, that connection just not there between Mitchell and Moorfield. Going to bring up 3rd and long now for the Gators.
Mitchell, that time, it's just a footwork thing. His feet are completely stuck to the ground off that RPO. Doesn't reset them to make that throw, and that's why he pulls it and misses. Just got to keep, rhythm in your feet even off that play action pass. That's why he missed that time.
We talked about the receiver matchup. Moorfield, first in WPIAL with 751 yards. He's 3rd in reception. Scoop Smith right behind him in 4th. 2 of the top options. There's a nice run there on 3rd down by Julian Dancier. We'll get the ball to the 24-yard line. The line to gain is right around the 20. So now decision time for the Gators here on 4th down, deep in Wolverines territory.
Good block by Moorfield on the perimeter, springs Dancier, and maybe gives you the option to leave the offense out there, and it looks like that's what Don Hall's going to do.
So scoreboard yet to update, but it is 4th down and 3. Now we have it there. See if the Gators, who are going hard count here, can get the Wolverines to jump, and if they do in fact decide to go for it, or if they'll be content to go for a field goal here. 2 seconds left on the play clock. And Don Hall will take his 2nd timeout of the first half with 5:32 remaining in the first quarter. I want to take a second to talk a little more about these receivers. We talked about Moorfield, 36 receptions, 751 yards, 9 carries for 41 yards, 8 total touchdowns. 3rd in the WPIAL in receptions. Scoop Smith in 4th. Moorfield ahead in yardage, Smith in 6th. The one thing we haven't talked about is Scoop Smith in the return game. We don't have those numbers readily available. Weren't able to find those offline, but he is just incredible with the ball in his hands, and the average yardage is 11 touchdowns going into last week. This doesn't count last week's contest against Armstrong, but before the Armstrong game, 11 touchdowns. The average distance of those touchdowns, 50 yards.
That'll do.
Total game breaker for the Wolverines. 4th down now. Mitchell has time, tries to pull it down, and he's not going to get there. He's going to get sacked by Moore, who completely wallops the freshman quarterback. And so the Gators are able to move the ball all the way inside the Wolverines' 30, but they'll come up empty after this failed 4th down attempt.
Mitchell still had plenty of time, was working through his regression, but Woodland Hills played coverage on this 4th down, knowing they can spy Mitchell with more. It allows them to drop more bodies back. They don't have to rush so aggressively because they have the quarterback accounted for, and Moore makes the big play one-on-one.
So now Smith in that offense back on the field. You see him there on the left side of your screen. Go back over his whole career, 50 touchdowns for the Wolverines, and his average only dips a little, 44 yards. They got it in his hands now. He gets the edge. He's over the 40, the 50, a foot race, and he doesn't lose those. First play of the drive, Scoop Smith going to go the distance. A touchdown run of 73 yards.
An excellent block downfield by another Woodland Hills receiver. Made sure that wasn't just a big gain, but a touchdown run for Smith. You get somebody with that much speed out to the perimeter, and all they need is one block, and usually they're going to be gone.
Take another look at it here, and so the complexion of this game changes. Seconds ago, the Gators had a chance to convert a 4th down. Just take a look at that excellent block by Taylor Reed out of the backfield, getting downfield quickly. High snap. The hold is good. The kick up and through. That one knocked through by the place kicker, number 35 for the Wolverines, Danny Fataki. Makes it 7-0, and another look here at the Scoop Smith touchdown run.
Reed getting all the way downfield. We mentioned he's the lead back in this backfield, but Smith's going to get carries. Moore's going to get carries. When Reed doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's still going to make plays. He's all the way downfield, springing Smith for that touchdown with an excellent block, and made sure not to hold, because those blocks downfield can be really difficult and draw penalties from time to time. It was a good call not to throw a flag on that one, as Smith was just absolutely gone to the perimeter.
So after 11 receptions and 2 touchdowns last week in the big win over Armstrong, it's Smith doing it on the ground, taking the carry 73 yards, and only exacerbating those already incredible numbers in terms of average distance for his touchdowns, which we talked about. It was around that 50-yard mark. That one's 73, going to pull that average up even more.
And you can see why. It's around 50. Any amount of space that he has, he's going to find that crease and go. 5'6", only about 150, 160 pounds, but you can see why Miami of Ohio and a lot of other kind of G5 MAC programs and those level teams, they're going to bet on that speed. They're going to bet on that game-breaking ability. And yeah, the size is probably never going to be there, but if that speed translates, and it typically does, you could have a big-time playmaker on your hands.
Smith headed to Oxford, Ohio next year, where he will suit up for the Red Hawks of Miami, Ohio. You see reviewing the film there on the far sidelines. Wolverines strike first on a game that took a little while to get our first points. That's the 4th drive total of this game. First 2 drives we saw interceptions by both quarterbacks, and then the Gators were able to move the ball from inside their own 20 to inside the Wolverines' 30. But a failed 4th down attempt at that point gave the ball back to the Wolverines at the 27. It took just one play for Smith and company. Now we have another kickoff here. Last one went out of bounds. This one will die at about the 19-yard line. Return about 6 yards up to the 25-yard line is where the Gators will start once again. Mason Mitchell and company going to try and finish the job after moving the ball productively in that last time out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. There are still a lot of positives to take. Your quarterback looks poised. Yes, he's gotten sacked a couple of times. Yes, he has an interception, but he doesn't look overwhelmed by the speed and physicality and talent of this Woodland Hills defense. You were able to run the ball pretty well, especially between the tackles, and that's something you can really lean on going forward. So I think there are positive things to glean from this first quarter, even trailing 7-0.
Gators set up shot on the far side of the field. Mitchell scans his options, sees some green in the middle of the field, decides to take off. It's a gain of about 2 yards on first down.
Yeah, I think after getting slammed to the turf by Moore on fourth down last time, Mitchell thought a little better of trying to run into the teeth of the Woodland Hills defense with Moore bearing down and some of his teammates, Dutrell, there as well. Wise decision, but maybe slid a little bit early. Not a huge gain on first down.
Makes it 2nd and 8 for the Gators, just past the 25. They'll hand it to Dan Sear, who cuts back, is able to get past that first wave. And a really nifty run by Dan Sear as he appears to have another Gators first down.
Early in the season, Dan Sear wasn't the lead back for Gateway, but you saw the ability, the instincts as a runner, that contact balance that we just saw on the limited carries that he got, and that's why now he's the workhorse in the backfield. A really impressive run on second down.
Timeout on the field. Missed who called that one. We'll see. That looks like a Woodland Hills timeout after yielding the first down to the Gators. Last note on Smith, Scoop Smith. He's a 2-time 100-meter dash champion in the WPIAL, so he's got legitimate track star speed. As we take a look at the Big East in totality, the standings coming into tonight, it is the Wolverines, unblemished and alone atop the standings. The Penn Trafford Warriors, after winning the Battle of the Bell last week, moved to 2-1. Armstrong right there in tow, and a big matchup tonight in the Alley-Kiski Valley as the Riverhawks will face off against the Kiski area Cavaliers. Gators right behind them with Latrobe and Franklin Regional in rebuilding years after making the postseason last year. Movement up front. This time it's going to be on the Gators after getting some help on the last drive from a handful of Wolverines defensive holding calls and one defensive offsides. This time it's going to be movement up front on the Gators. Dan and Bandy.
5 yards against the Gators.
The guilty culprit makes it 1st and 15, and the Gators will hand it to Dan Sear here. And again, Dan Sear with a nice run. He's able to get penalty yardage back and then one more on top of that. So it'll be 2nd and 9 for the Gators upcoming.
Really big block by Umbandi after the penalty, which I think was on the right guard Donaldson the play prior. But I was pulling up Umbandi's number because he started the year on the interior of the line, now playing left tackle where Schultz started and shuffling things around, but it looks like a really strong unit thus far.
Player in motion for the Gators. They fake the screen the one way, and now it's intercepted after trying to set it up to S.J. Moorfield. They just have not been able to get that connection to work, and it is an interception. Really athletic play by DJ Dutriell. That's going to set up Woodland Hills for the 2nd time as Dutrell able to take that one away. Sets up Woodland Hills with great field position once again here on an interception for the 2nd time in this first quarter.
Tips and overthrows, got to get those. That one tipped at the line of scrimmage, and the length of Woodland Hills continues to be a problem for Mitchell. Just trying to set up that screen, and those screens were so effective last week, but you're facing a kind of a different level defensively, and they're just able to cover up so much ground. It's like throwing through a forest. You're going to nick a tree or two. And Mitchell's been doing that thus far, already his 2nd interception of the first quarter. Not playing all that bad, just a few mistakes, a few tips, and that's what can happen.
Wolverines barely get this one off before the play clock expires. It's Reed over the left side. He'll gain 3 yards. here on the Wolverines' third drive, just his second carry of the game thus far.
Don't have much read on what we're getting offensively from Woodland Hills. One drive that ended with an interception pretty quickly and another that ended with a big touchdown on the first play. So maybe we'll actually see what they're trying to establish here on this drive, going with that handoff to Reed on play number 1.
Walter back to pass. Throws this one away. No one in the vicinity. See if we end up getting a flag here. Walter did scramble and move out of the pocket for a moment.
At the top of your screen, Prince Tarrant was on a double move trying to work vertically. Some physical play with Nazir Diggs on the outside, the sophomore corner. And I think once Walter saw that Tarrant and Diggs got locked up at the top of that route, then he just bailed from the pocket, saw the pressure, and decided to live to fight another down. Nice job defensively, out on an island, nonetheless, by Diggs.
Penalty flag in now. And it's going to be against the Gators. Someone jumped along that defensive line, and that's going to turn 3rd and 7 into 3rd and 2.
Changes the whole mindset, especially at this part of the field. You can run the ball twice and feel pretty good about getting 2 yards. Now we see the big running back, Moore, coming onto the field. We've only really seen him at linebacker, but 6'3", 225. More of a battering ram in the backfield, and we'll see if that's where he goes. Another flag on that far side. Looked like for a sideline warning.
So no penalty yardage on the first one. Teams get a warning. The second one does result in penalty yardage. You saw a couple plays ago Jackson Smith making a tackle on Taylor Reed. He's a big get for the Gators back defensively. Can he and the Gators get a stop here? They will flock to the ball, and they do get a stop. Ball will be stopped right at about that 25-yard line, which will result in no gain for the Wolverines. Take another look. They loaded that backfield. They gave it to Moore, who bobbled it for just a second. And then an onslaught of black jerseys and helmets flocking to the ball brings up decision time now for the Wolverines and their head coach, Brian Tarrant.
Looks like the offense is staying out there. I think that's the right call, even after losing a little bit of yardage. They don't seem to have much of a reliable kicking game, so they were thinking 4 downs all the way.
4th down. See if they go with the hard count. They don't. They'll snap it right away. They try to go outside to Smith. Smith able to break a few ankles. He's still on his feet inside the 10. And my goodness, you blink and you miss him. Really simple play. Nifty catch by Smith over the shoulder, leading toward the sidelines, and then able to get that all-important yak afterward.
Little whip route inside and out. You know you got man coverage and you have somebody with quickness and balance like Scoop Smith. You feel pretty good about him getting about 3 yards. Typically you say when you catch that ball on 4th down, don't retreat. When you're Scoop Smith, you can.
So goal-to-go situation now. Walter under center, gives it to Reed. Reed bounces off one would-be tackler and able to drag his momentum down inside the 5-yard line. Wendell Hall, amongst others, in on the defensive stop. So you take another look.
For all the speed and playmakers that are on this Woodland Hills offense, they want to be physical and establish that running game, go into the full house backfield again.
It was actually Michael Burrows with the tackle on the last play, and the Gators with another stop here at the 1-yard line. Trying to hang on for dear life here as you take another look at that stop right around the goal line. That time Jackson Smith getting the ankles of the ball carrier, and now the Wolverines back to the line quickly. They'll hand it off again and get just enough as Reed able to fall forward into the end zone for Wolverines touchdown, builds that lead to 13-0.
It's a big and physical offensive line for Woodland Hills, and they showed that they can just kind of lean on you once they get into the red zone. It's so hard to throw the ball in the red zone. The areas get tighter, zones get tighter. You can't stretch the field vertically. So if you can run the ball, that's the best possible option in the red zone, and that's what Woodland Hills decided to do to score that touchdown.
Snap, hold, and kick are all good. And so 2 for 2 now on PATs is Danny Fataki, the 6 foot, 180-pound freshman place kicker. And it is a 14-0 lead with 57 seconds left in quarter number 1.
Really good first quarter for Woodland Hills. You've seen the explosiveness, but you've also seen the physicality and the incremental gains of this offense, and that's why they haven't lost a game since they've reclassified into, or reorganized into this Big East Conference. When you have that type of versatility offensively, where you can hand the ball off and get a 70-plus yard touchdown run, or you can hand it off 3 times inside the 10 and punch it in for another score, that's really the type of offense you need to be a contender, especially in the vaunted 5A.
Taking a look across the conference, seeing what scores we can find. Penn Trafford leading Franklin Regional 21-0, trying to keep pace with these Wolverines. Right now, Woodland Hills up 14-0, trying to move to 4-0, 6-2 overall. The Gators, after starting 2-0 in the conference, trying to stop the bleeding. It was a couple weeks ago. As you take a look at the Gators' full picture schedule, a 1-point heartbreaking loss here, homecoming night against the Armstrong Riverhawks, a game in which the Gators battled back from a deficit, built an 11-point lead, only to see 12 consecutive points scored by Jaden Oliver and the Riverhawks as they played the part of spoiler that night. Then last week, a 16-point halftime lead erased. The Gators fell on the road in Harrison City, Battle of the Bell. It ended up being a 33-23 Penn Trafford win. Gators trying to avoid 3 straight losses. They're in a 14-0 hole right now as another kick that ends up right along the sideline. And my goodness, the Gators, did they fumble that ball? It was that kick is so unique in the fact that the last 2 have just sort of died there. It looked like that ball, where did it end up? It ended up in the hands of number 20 for the Gators, Donovan DeLuco, the heads-up play by the senior on senior night. And now a flag comes out. So we got some stuff to sort out here. Currently it's Gators ball at about the 30-yard line. No, they're going to mark that back at the, looks like the 17-yard line.
They're going to walk it up, though, after that 15-yard penalty on Woodland Hills. Really big hit after that kick. They don't have the landing zone here, but it's kind of one of those muddy kicks that you see in the NFL now, where they want it to land and force the returner to go pick it up because it makes the return that much more difficult. Take a look at it here. I think it's just they don't really have a big leg, but this works for them, and not even great starting field position after the penalty for Gateway.
All right. Right along the sidelines there, forced Terrence Cole to have to try and make a split-second decision. As first down, a run by Dancier, off to the races, past midfield, down to the 40-yard line. And for the Gators, Julian Dancier stealing the show tonight on senior night, the junior, with another big run.
Yeah, we typically see Dancier do it with patience, with balance, and with vision on the interior. That time he got the crease, there was no need for patience. He just took off and busted an explosive play right up the gut. If you can get explosives that way, you might as well stick with it. I expect Gateway to stay on the ground for much of this drive, as much as they can.
Dancier came into this contest just shy of 500 yards from scrimmage. He's had a strong start, although this time he gets upended by Ziggy Moore, amongst others. Also in on the tackle, looks like number 18. Yes, it is, for the Wolverines, Robinson Ray, another senior along that defensive line. And that's going to bring us to the end of our first quarter. Took us about 7 minutes to get points, but the Wolverines strike twice in the final 5 minutes of action in the first quarter. That that's where we stand after a 73-yard Scoop Smith run and a 1-yard run by Taylor Reed. It's 14-0 Wolverines. And Josh, your thoughts after the first 12 minutes of play?
For Gateway, you're down 14-0. Your freshman quarterback has 2 interceptions. But it's really, this isn't a disastrous start. Like, you've seen some good things from your offense. You've been able to run the ball really well. That gives you hope that you can get back into this thing. You just have to find a way to corral Scoop Smith. And over the past 4 years, there aren't many teams that have actually been able to do that successfully. So that's obviously the challenge against the team that, you know, is leading this conference, and for good reason, looking like one of the 5A WPIAL contenders.
We'll see if the Gators do it again tonight. They haven't scored yet, so they haven't had to kick the ball off, but I'm still blown away that teams even kick the ball anywhere near Scoop Smith. I mean, honestly, I think I might spot the ball at the 35 every time to make sure that thing gets out of dodge and doesn't end up in number 1's hands, because more often than not, it becomes a highlight reel play. I
think it might be like Tony Dungy before the Bears-Colts Super Bowl, right? All week you say, we're not kicking it to him, we're not kicking it to him, we're not kicking it to him. Then you get to game day and go, we can cover this kick, and then Hester takes it to the house. It's the same situation. You just talk yourself into it. Eventually, we can do it. We can cover this kick, and I don't think it's a wise decision. So we'll see what Gateway opts to do, either after a touchdown or to start the second half.
Now we'll start the second quarter with the ball at about the 42-yard line. Line to gain is the 29, makes it 2nd down and 13 for the Gators as we await the start of the second quarter of play. Mitchell in the gun. Dan Sear, the sidecar. They'll bring S.J. Moorfield into the backfield via motion. Fake the handoff to him. Open, a beautiful play design, and Dan Sear again refuses to go down. Really nifty play design as Dan Sear sort of just bled out of the backfield on a bit of a go route out of the backfield and is able to catch that one, move the chains.
A really nice wheel, because the linebackers had their eyes on Moorfield. When you have the leading receiver in the WPIAL by yardage, you can use him as eye candy every once in a while, and Gateway does it a lot, moving him into the backfield. It changed the picture with a safety coming down. It also held the linebackers and gave Dan Sear space.
Penalty flag thrown right off the jump of that play. We'll see if this one's coming back. It will be. So as it stands, a very short run for the Gators, but movement offensively will push them back 5 yards.
See who got an early start.
Didn't see it from there.
Tough to tell, but regardless, you don't want to be playing behind the sticks very much against Woodland Hills. Their pass rush really hasn't gotten after Mitchell all that much, but they bring in their pass rush package. They seeing some lighter bodies out there, and they've been able to impact him in different ways with tip balls and leading to those 2 turnovers.
Ball at the Woodland Hills 30-yard line. The Gators looking for an opportunity to make this a 1-score game again. Now they get a stoppage on the field.
Seemed like they were moving slowly, so delay a game.
That turns 1st and 10 to 1st and 15 to now 1st and 20 back at the 35-yard line.
Those are the issues you run into from time to time with a freshman quarterback, right? It's not just about the throws downfield or the decision making. It's just getting the operation.
Gators going to go to the air, and it's another interception. Rumbling back the other way for Woodland Hills is DJ Dutrell.
He just sat right underneath that. See this combination route on the outside by the 2 receivers. Moorfield goes deep, the slant, zone coverage. You don't want to throw right into that, and it looks like Mitchell just never saw the linebacker underneath. He read the outside defender not staying with him, but didn't peek inside before throwing that. Sometimes you want your receiver just to, hey, throttle that down, sit down in that soft spot in the zone, but also where Mitchell threw it, he was leading him on that slant. So that's on both of them not, running that operation the right way against zone coverage, and you lose a linebacker as talented as Dutrell, and he gets his second interception of the night.
They'll go back to Scoop Smith, who fumbles the ball, and fortuitously, as he got tackled, landed back on top of it. So he goes 73 yards forward for a touchdown on his first carry. This one going to go backwards 5 yards.
I think technically it'll go in the scorebook as a pass, the little forward pop pass, but still, yeah, good job by the Gateway defense, just able to string him out to the sideline, and that's the length of Wendell Hall. We've seen that work in pass defense for Woodland Hills, having a really rangy defensive end, and there you saw how it can be impactful in the run game.
Brings up 2nd and 15 for the Wolverines. Cam Walter, the Wolverines' all-time leading passer, going to throw this one out to the sidelines. Closest to it was Tristan Houston. There was a receiver in the vicinity for Woodland Hills, Prince Tarrant. Walter has been under duress when he has thrown the ball.
Jackson Smith got there quickly, and a lot of the routes were really deep downfield. Woodland Hills had one-on-ones if he wanted to throw it, but it was a really long throw because it was to the wide side of the field and deep. So that's just a lot to ask of your quarterback, especially on the run and with a linebacker as quick as Jackson Smith pursuing him.
Brings up now 3rd and 15. Gators, after throwing a third interception, trying to get off the field here without surrendering points. But over the top. They had a man but couldn't complete it. That one falls harmlessly to the turf, and the Gators get a little lucky. Landon Atkins was behind the defense on that one. Take a look.
It's a pretty good throw, but again, a really long one, and that's just so tough to connect on that. But 3rd and 15, you got to draw something up. Gateway still trusting their defensive backs, mostly one-on-one on the outside. That's their MO offensive, or defensively rather, and they're sticking with it even with the dynamic playmaking of Woodland Hills. It's helped them stop the run game, or at least limit it somewhat, and there they held up enough on 3rd and 15 that you were able to force the punt.
Whistles here and a stoppage. Waiting to see what the call is. It's going to be against the Gators. Don Hall and his coaching staff gesturing like they're not quite sure what the call is either.
Looked like it was delay of game. That was the signal that we saw.
Still a punting formation here as this snap goes over the head of the punter. Gators with an opportunity here as that one falls harmlessly to the turf. Heads up play, corralling that ball by Prince Tarrant and just getting rid of it. Almost completed it, which would have got it back to the original line to gain at the Gators 45. Instead, as you see, it is a turnover on downs. The Gators will take over 5 yards short of midfield.
Woodland Hills reacted to that scramble so well, it almost makes you wonder, was that a fake designed before the snap, the errant snap that kind of threw everything out of whack? Because it looked like he had multiple receivers who were, opened up for a pass, and if he was able to complete it, maybe they would have had the yardage only on 4th and 10 instead of 4th and 15, but Gateway catches a break.
So the Gators with great field position here, right around midfield with 10 minutes left. A flag comes in. It's going to be movement again on the Gators.
There's a lot of pre-snap movement going on defensively for Woodland Hills. They're just checking into different looks, changing the picture on Mitchell, which you should do against a young quarterback. He hasn't seen a lot, so change what you're going to do just pre-snap. Bring an extra body into the box or drop somebody out. And that's what Woodland Hills is doing a lot. It's leading to some of these false starts and operational issues.
Gators behind the sticks again here to start this drive. Ball now back at the 40-yard line on 1st and 15. Mitchell, the time to throw. Eventually just sort of throws this one away, and now another flag comes in.
Illegal man downfield, and that's an RPO. That's on the quarterback. He held on to that for a really long time at the mesh point, And then even once he pulled it out, he didn't make the throw right away. You got to decide quickly if you're going to throw that. Watch the offensive line for Gateway. They block this like a run. It's a true RPO. They're working upfield to get to the next level. Mitchell pulls it out and just holds on to it for way too long. He did have more field if he wanted to pull it out and throw it quickly, but he should have probably just handed that ball off.
So after all that, 2nd and 15 now for the Gators. Nose of the ball at the 40-yard line. Gators still looking for their first points in this one. Down 14. Mitchell with time. Scans his options, and again, just going to throw this one away. Woodland Hills is stifling these Gators receivers downfield. Mitchell has had time, but
they're playing a lot of zone coverage. That time they dropped 8, only brought 3 rushers. That's part of the reason Mitchell's had clean pockets. Woodland Hills really isn't dialing up much pressure. They're saying, okay, you're a freshman, diagnose this. We're going to drop 8 into coverage, find somebody open, be patient enough to get through your progressions. Somebody will come open eventually, but it's just so difficult when they're dropping 8.
So 3rd and very long now for the Gators.
Play clock running down.
Giving this ball right back. They get it off in time. Mitchell able to give this one a ride toward the sidelines. Had some footsteps in there at the last moment, and that one overthrown toward Moorfield. And it's going to be a punt situation now for the Gators.
And these are the issues that penalties cause because it put Gateway behind the sticks. They're still running the ball well. That hasn't gone away. But you have to go away from it when you end up in 1st and 15 and 2nd and 15. You just end up behind the sticks. You got to throw the ball, and those penalties are really derailing anything, any momentum that Gateway had going in the first quarter.
Jackson Michael Andrich back to punt. A couple errant snaps last week. Michael Andrich able to sail this one. And a beautiful punt.
That's how you want to do it.
Able to corner that one right to the sidelines, out right at the 20-yard line. Scoop Smith got hands on it, but not before his momentum took him out of bounds. He didn't even end up making that grab anyway, but it wouldn't have mattered if he did. So a beautiful punt by Michael Andrich, and it's a long field now for the Wolverines with a player down at the 46-yard line.
And I think you can tell that Smith is used to punters kicking it to the sideline. He was in a dead sprint to get after that one and trying to haul it in on the sideline. I don't think he's getting as many opportunities to return the ball as he would like.
Teams have certainly wised up to giving the ball in space to number 1 for Woodland Hills. So we take a look at their schedule while we have a break in the action. Early season losses against 6A heavyweights North Allegheny, and a game that the Wolverines had every opportunity to win until the end, and a blowout loss at Central Catholic. Other than that, it has been pretty smooth sailing for these Wolverines as they're riding a 4-game winning streak in which you've seen 3 out of those 4 games scoring north of 41 points. They've done that 4 times this season. A team that averages 37 points offensively. They've got the Gators tonight, a Franklin Regional team that secured their first win on the season against Fox Chapel just last week, and then Kiski area to round out the regular season. So Woodland Hills, heavy favorites to run the table here, finish 8-2, probably puts them in line for a top 3 seed. Is never a sight you want to see here. Carter Atkins, it looked like they were trying to stretch him out, but now they're just going to carry him, not putting any weight on either foot.
You don't see that too often. Typically, they're going to hop to the side, maybe cramped up on both sides, and they decided we got to go work this out on the sideline, or potentially something worse. You hope it's just a cramp. Even this late in the season, we've had beautiful weather. We've had pretty dry conditions. Pretty much every week it's been beautiful for Western PA high school football, and some dry weather. You cramp up every once in a while, no matter how cold it is, you're going to. So hopefully that's what it is for the sophomore.
See there at the bottom right of your screen, 60 degrees. A beautiful fall evening here as a snap gets past Cam Walter, who just is able to corral it and fall forward to try and minimize the damage, but it is a loss of about 4 yards on first down.
I was interested to see what they were going to do going out of pistol. A new look that we haven't seen so much from them. The handoff to Scoop Smith was out of the pistol, but he motioned into the backfield to make it that kind of look. So we'll see if they go back to that. I like the pistol look. It gives you the downhill running game. It also gives your quarterback the ability to have his eyes on the defense instead of turning his back like he would if he were under center.
Roberson Louis June was able to push Cam Walter to the ground. Try to set up the screen here, but that one is sniffed out. Taylor Reed, no room to go as Michael Burrows was draped over him like a tablecloth.
Burrows all season has been really impressive at the second level for this Gateway defense. Jackson Smith is kind of the leader there, and he flies around. He's back from injury, and that's great news. But Burrows has been no slouch at all. Big physical hitter in the run game, and you see him kind of developing in coverage and those instincts coming along for a young player.
Brings up 3rd and long once again for the Wolverines. Now Walter just going to try and get some yards back with his legs to get a little space for the punt unit. He's brought down at the 14-yard line, and so the Gators defense the last couple possessions, Josh, they've done the work. They've gotten Woodland Hills 3 and out 2 times in a row.
And a lot of it is stopping the run with this defensive front, and you saw a big play in the backfield there, rushing the quarterback. But really, it's a lot of credit to the defensive backs who are holding up on islands against some really talented playmakers for Woodland Hills. Gateway plays a lot of man coverage. They trust their corners on the outside. So far, they're holding up long enough to stop the run and allocate extra bodies there and to get after the quarterback.
Much better snap that time. Moorfield able to field this one cleanly. He's able to make a few Wolverines miss, but then is corralled at about the 43-yard line. So once again, the Gators have had no shortage of great field position. Moorfield, as you see there, again, able to make a couple misses before finally getting stood up by Braylon Hart, the 5'7" freshman, making a heady play on special teams. But not before the Gators are able to advance into Wolverines territory here once again.
And you mentioned that great field position. That was part of the recipe last week in the first half against Penn Trafford. Off of turnovers, off of a muff punt, they were set up in the opponent's territory and they cashed them in. So now this is an opportunity that Gateways, it feels like they have to put some points on the board before halftime.
First down. Mitchell keeps it himself, gains about a yard. After thinking about handing it off to the talented back Dancier, keeps it himself.
Maybe should have given it to Dancier that time, and I don't hate the idea to pull it because the running back might have gotten swallowed up. Just so much speed. Anytime you're running horizontally against the Woodland Hills defense, you got to cut it up quickly and try to get north and south because they're going to get there and make the play.
Jaden Jones on the stop, and now a big-time hit in the backfield, and Dancier a little slow to get up. He was corralled by a couple Wolverines, but coming in to finish that play was Aaron Bowie, 5'11", 205-pound senior. Take another look at the hard hit on Dancier.
And again, it's a lot of the runs that try to get to the perimeter, try to have some level of misdirection, just are slightly slower developing. Ziggy Moore's going to swallow up that space really quickly. He's so instinctual. He's going to snuff out the run. When they've gotten downhill and done more of the zone stuff, the duo stuff, they've had a lot more success.
Brings up 3rd and long. Play action. Receiver open across the middle. It's a hard hit. Scoop Smith dishing it out on his fellow receiver, S.J. Moorfield, 2 of the top 5 receivers in all the land.
And that's such a difficult throw from Mitchell. It's a great catch, too, knowing you're going to take that hit because running over the middle of the field, you know you're going to get a lick put on you. But Mitchell, to layer that into the second level over the linebacker in front of the safety, that's just special stuff from the freshman.
Play action pass here. Mitchell trying to get Moorfield there out toward the boundary, incomplete. It's 2nd and 10. The Gators at the 25-yard line of the Wolverines. It's about as far as they've gotten at any point in the game.
Mitchell's typically been very accurate. We've seen a couple sprays tonight. One time it was because his feet were completely planted and didn't get them set underneath him, tried to throw it all arm. That time, he was just really choppy and kind of trying to avoid the pressure, and it forced him to quicken up his process and his release, and that's why he missed it wide.
4 receiver set, 3 to the right. Mitchell looks that way. It's Gowder, and Gowder splits the defense. He's down toward the goal line, and he's going to be down at the 1 yard line, but a nice route by Gowder, who found that soft spot in the defense and was wide open. And that time, Josh, Mitchell put it right where it needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a really good look in tight on the quarterback. You could see him going through his progressions actively. He was on the first slant pattern. Gateway ran 2 slants, and as we get a break here, maybe we could get a chance to look at the replay again. But he went from number 1 to number 2, and number 2 was open. That's kind of why you run those double slants in tandem. If the first one clears the defender out, you know you're going to have the second one open. Really good job by the quarterback on this drive. He's bouncing back from the early turnovers.
Azir Diggs checks off Casey Carter in, getting a little size in for this first down and goal play from the 1 yard line. Mitchell with the sidecar running back. They'll hand it off, and into the end zone is going to be the reserve running back, number 31, Lamont Bates. The 5'8", 175-pound junior rumbles into the end zone, and the Gators, they get a 1-score game with their first touchdown of the night.
First time we've seen Bates into the game, and you see why on the goal line. A bit of a more physical look in the backfield, and didn't really have much blocking on the front side of that run, so he just bounced it back to the left side, found the crease, and that was all he needed.
Jackson Michael Andrich, keeper for the Gators boys soccer team, in for the PAT, and that is good. So Gators cut the deficit in half. Are able to turn a defensive stand into a 45-yard drive that results in Gators' first points, and Lamont Bates able to punctuate that drive. Let's take a look at one of the plays that set that up.
You saw the miss there from Mitchell, but he bounced back from that so well. Going through his reads, it's not all first read stuff with him. Able to get it to Gowder, who found a crease up the seam of the Woodland Hills defense. And also you saw with Gowder, he didn't run into coverage, right? He found a soft spot in that zone, but he sat down in it. And that's exactly what you want your receivers to do. Mitchell was able to just put it right on him, and then he set up the great field position in the red zone on the goal line for Bates to run it into the end zone. Here we can get a look. Watch Gowder, number 17, Moorfield, clears it out with the first slant on the inside. Stammer and Moorfield clear that space, and Gowder just throttles that route down instead of running into coverage, and that's a really good job. Knowing that Woodland Hills is playing almost exclusively zone coverage, Gateway receivers are going to have to do that more often. Find those soft spots and sit down. You don't always have to run your route exactly as it's drawn up, because that's going to run you into coverage against this type of zone.
I'll tell you what, Josh, you got a Gators team that has turned the ball over 3 times in the early going, yet they have stayed the course, and that touchdown run by Bates and the ensuing PAT has the Gators back within a score.
5:11 left in the half. Like, that's exactly what you wanted if you're Gateway. A stop and a score. And now you have a chance to do the exact same thing with plenty of time on the clock before the break.
Last week, the Gators built a big-time first-half lead off of turnovers. This week, the Gators have been the ones guilty of turning the ball over, but they are still in this one. Flag comes in on the return. More often than not, that's going to be against the return team. As it stands right now, the ball right around the 35-yard line, but it looks like this one's going to be coming back.
Looks like it's going to probably be a block in the back on Woodland Hills. Jordan Austin, I'm sure he's very busy as the return man opposite Scoop Smith. I can imagine a lot of kicks are in his direction, and that was the case for Michael Andrich. Doing a good job just landing that in, forcing him to be the return man, and not kicking it straight out of bounds. so your coverage team can rally and try to prevent it from being, excellent field position, only good. And sometimes you luck out and get a penalty, and now they're starting inside their own 20.
So after the penalty, the ball will be spotted at the 17-yard line. So another long field. The Gators have been progressively winning the field position battle. It's helped them get back into this game. A nice crowd on hand tonight. There's a change at quarterback for this play. In for the Wolverines on this one, Jaron McKinney, the 5'11 sophomore. He just hands it off there to Reed, who is bottled up after a gain of 1.
And it looks like he's going to stay out there, so maybe this drive will be his. We haven't seen a lot from Walter in terms of throwing the ball down the field. The offense has had some success, but it's pretty much all come on the ground. So it'll be interesting to see if they stay with this switch.
Not sure if anything happened to Walter. We didn't diagnose that he came up limp on any play or anything like that. As a quick pitch out to the right. They're going to get it into the hands of one of those talented receivers. This time it's Prince Terrence, but another flag out there toward the boundary. See if this is a holding call. And it is.
And you can see why.
A pretty easy one there for the officials who were well in position to make that call. Interesting, though, the Walter not out there. We talked a little bit about in pregame. He came into this game with 4,735 yards, 48 passing touchdowns, both by far and away leading figures in the history of a pretty historic program for Woodland Hills. That has seen no shortage of guys go play at the next level.
And even the level after that.
Absolutely. So penalties have started to become a real issue for Woodland Hills. They've gotten behind the chains now in 3 straight drives. This time it's going to be 2nd and 19 from the 9-yard line. They'll get some of that yardage back. It's going to be 3rd and long once again. Take another look. They got it into Scoop Smith's hands, and between the tackles, not necessarily where he does his best work. He's bottled up after a very nominal gain of 4 yards.
I'm sure if you're Don Hall and you see Smith motion in the backfield, you hold your breath for a second. When it's a handoff up the gut, you can exhale a little bit, right? He still has the speed to take it if he finds a crease, but it's much harder to do that than an outside zone run as we saw last time.
Smith now in motion. 3 receivers on that left side. Quarterback able to get to the edge and pick up a decent amount of yards, but because of getting behind the sticks, the Wolverines very likely going to have to punt this one away again as the carry there by McKinney comes up short.
Tristan Houston brought some pressure from the secondary, but whiffed on the tackle. Still, it was enough that Gateway was able to rally and force McKinney out of bounds, force a punt here. We said stop and a score. They got that. Stop and a score again. You got the stop. We'll see what Gateway can do on offense.
Moorfield now with a chance to return this one. He's able to get past a few would-be tacklers, but then he is strung out and bottled up. But not before getting into Wolverines territory once again. And so the Gators start with identical field position as they did the last time. This will officially be at the 48-yard line of the Wolverines. But Josh, the table is set. The Gators have an opportunity here before the half to nod this one up or go in front if they decide to go for 2. And more importantly, they have really set themselves up nicely with field position. We've seen the last 3 drives, the Wolverines starting deep in their own territory. Now, yet another drive where the Gators are starting in Woodland Hills territory before they even snap the ball the first time.
Yeah, you see the value of things like special teams and just winning that field position game.
Mitchell, play action. Over the middle, the passing game starting to come to life. Nazir Diggs puts his helmet down and lays the boom on Carter Atkins, but Atkins makes the tackle at about the 33-yard line. Call a gain of about 15 yards there on first down.
That's exactly what you want from the RPO. Mitchell was decisive that time. He had a much clearer picture because Woodland Hills brought more pressure on him. Sometimes that actually makes it easier if you bring more pass rushers, clears things up on the back end.
2:53, Mitchell Just has to dive on this one and falls at about the 40-yard line. And so that's going to be a loss of about 7 yards on first down. Kills the momentum off of that 15-yard passing play, and a bit of a hit up toward that head area at the end of that one. No flag comes out.
Bit of an errant snap, but that's also what happens when you run such an RPO-heavy offense. Your quarterback wants to get his eyes to those safeties, to those linebackers quickly, and sometimes you take your eye off the ball.
Certainly the case on that one. The Gators now needing to make up some yards, and again, for the third time tonight, getting a hand on the pass is Donshea Mosley. We saw him in 2 successive drives to start this game with similar plays, and that's the second time out of 3 where he really had a legitimate chance to pick that one off.
That one, he could have picked it off and went the other way with it, too. He's a really versatile player on their defensive line. Sometimes they have him on the interior, sometimes on the edge. And with that length, he's just giving Mitchell fits.
So now the Gators, in what they didn't want to get into, 3rd and 18 at the 40-yard line. Need at least a chunk of yards here to set up a potential 4th down play. And Moorfield gets nothing, loses a yard, in fact. So now decision time for Don Hall and the Gators on 4th and 19. Do you risk giving Woodland Hills the ball back at the 40?
Not with this much time left. I say you punt it deep. Maybe you even take a delay of game here, try to force them off, although at that point I still maybe would just try to give the ball away and play the field position game, which you're winning. They did jump.
So the Gators execute the hard count perfectly. And for the second time tonight, the Wolverines jump. The Gators get 5 more yards. And now with the ball inside the 35, maybe you decide to hit that green light and go offensively. It certainly looks like that's what Don Hall and company are thinking as Mitchell, Dancier, and the offense stay out on the field.
I think part of the calculus, too, is the Woodland Hills passing game really hasn't done much, and they're going to have to throw the ball. They do have 2 timeouts left, but only under a minute as the clock runs.
And we don't know which quarterback we might see on this next drive after Cam Walter has exited the game. Not exactly sure why. Here, an open receiver and a big hit by Scoop Smith at the last second is able to jar that ball loose from Casey Carter, who was right around that line to gain. And boy, a big-time defensive play prevents a 4th down conversion.
And it was a good throw by Mitchell. Carter was open, but I really question the play call. You're not going to get any movement from linebackers, from safeties with play action when you're so backed up. And then to have play action where you require your quarterback to spin around completely before trying to get his eyes on the secondary. A secondary that's just been comfortable dropping into zone coverage. Like, every moment of reading that out is an advantage for Mitchell. So turning his back to the defense doesn't make any sense on that play.
Cam Walter back in after taking a series off.
And he lost the ball.
He lost the ball indeed, and the Gators have come up with it. An incredible play by Sina Egbadzi, getting in there, jarring the ball loose, and a real rude awakening for Walter, who took the last series off and immediately coughs it up. That one's recovered by Big 59 for the Gators. That's going to be Eli Thompson in the trenches, coming away with the turnover. And so the Gators, with a new lease on life, they got the ball in Woodland Hills territory moments ago, went backward after gaining 1 first down. Much like we saw last week, the Gators able to force a few turnovers defensively. That's the 2nd offensive turnover for Woodland Hills, and it sets up the Gators at the 31-yard line. With 55 seconds until the halftime break, and now this one gets away from the quarterback, and now it's forced to be picked up, and a late hit along the sidelines is going to give 15 yards to the Gators, as bailing them out was Tymere Walker with a hit that never should have happened.
The penalty obviously going to be the story. We've got to see if S.J. Moorfield's able to get up after that blow. But such a heads-up play by him, not just to take off and get what he can after that fumble, but to head towards the sideline to stop the clock.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if
Moorfield's up and okay.
Well, and I'm not sure what happened at the end of that play along the sideline. We saw an official throw his cap as well, meaning He had already thrown his flag, and that indicates a second penalty. Did the Gators retaliate?
Looks like a conversation happening between a Gateway coach and Wendell Hall, number 19, on the sideline. They just wrapped up that discussion, so maybe it wasn't anything that happened there, but the last thing you want to do is nullify this penalty that's going to put you in a great position to end the half with even more points on the scoreboard.
So we wait to get things sorted out here on what will be a massive call with 47 seconds left in the half. The initial penalty was a late hit out of bounds on Tymir Walker. Happened around that 20 to 25 yard line, which would push the Gators well within the red zone. Was there a retaliation? The entire Gators coaching staff is lined up feet away from the officials. First call is against the defense. Good call against the offense as well.
There was an unsportsmanlike conduct on Gateway, but I'm not sure where that's going to spot the football. It looks like maybe just where Moorfield went out of bounds.
So after all that, the ball would be placed at the 29-yard line. It results in a 2-yard gain for the Gators. On this play here where the snap got away from Mason Mitchell, and S.J. Moorfield was able to angle and get out at about the 22, was hit late, so the Gators don't come away with any additional penalty yards, and now they're back to work. First down across the middle of the field, and Gowder bobbles it, catches it, spins away, and is down inside the 10-yard line. Boy, oh boy, there were a lot of bodies in the vicinity of that one, and that was one of those throws where you go, oh no, oh yes. As Gowder was able to high point that one. Look at that, right in between two defenders. That is incredible.
And that was an excellent throw. It was also an incredibly dangerous throw. If you saw in that replay at the top of the screen, Jaden Stammer was wide open with room to run if Mitchell could have gotten through his progressions a little bit further. So we see a Gateway defensive player back up to his feet. Maybe we can get another look at it. Stammer at the top of the screen. Number 8 comes wide open, but Mitchell is pretty much locked onto Gowder at this point. See, up near the 25-yard line, and he had plenty of room to run, maybe even a blocker, Carter out in front. But Gowder, what an excellent catch. Really good concentration, and he seems to be really comfortable playing against zone coverage. Like, that's the same thing we talked about, able to find those soft spots.
Ball is spiked, execution's good. Stops the clock with 32.8 seconds left after Tyree Gowder, who's done such a great job high pointing the ball. 5'10", 170 pounds. He's not the tallest or strongest receiver you're going to see, but he's got some ups, and that time he was able to climb the ladder and bring that one down. The injured Wolverine on the previous play was Jaden Jones.
Not so sure about that spike in this situation. Maybe you just use your timeout, take a couple shots at the end zone if you trust your kicker from this distance.
Gators certainly would like 6 here to bring this one back to even before the halftime break. A flag now at that front corner of the end zone, and the way that number 4, Tymir Walker, is gesturing, it looks like this is going to be against the Wolverines and might give the Gators first and goal at the 1.
He drove the receiver completely out of bounds. That should definitely be a holding. Got really physical with Stammer. Watch at the top of the screen. Goes out of your picture, but he drove Stammer. You can see it now all the way out of bounds. Here's a better look. And Walker was the one who committed the late hit, I believe, on S.J. Moorfield.
He was.
Got bailed out for that penalty, but not this time.
Oh, that's good insight. And a quick play, a little pitch and catch over the top. It's Casey Carter in the back of the end zone, and the Gators are a PAT away from tying this game up with 24 seconds left in the half, despite 3 turnovers in the first half. The Gators have forced 2 of their own. They've turned them into points, and we have got ourselves a ball game.
S.J. Moorfield in the backfield taking the direct snap. Everybody sold out like it was going to be a keeper. Mason Mitchell, the quarterback, was split out wide, and just a really creative look, pulled out in a really good spot. We saw early in the first quarter, Gateway tried to go to a trick play with Moorfield throwing deep downfield. Maybe that's not his specialty. They should probably keep it in the red zone around the goal line, because on that jump pass to Casey Carter, he executed it perfectly. Just got to put it in the area because Carter was wide open and able to come down with the score.
Great play call, great execution by the Gators. Jackson Michael Andrich's PAT is up and good, and have one more look. Just a couple steps to the right, a little flick of the wrist. Casey Carter able to bring that one in. The big tight end helps nod this one up at 14. And my goodness, when this game became 14-0, and Woodland Hills cashed in a Mason Mitchell touchdown with a short drive and a Taylor Reed touchdown run, it looked like we might have been heading into real danger territory, because the resulting drive then for the Gators was another interception that set the Wolverines up with great field position. Penalties, strong defensive play by the Gators. They're able to get a stop there. 2 3-and-outs in the second quarter, and the complexion of this game has changed. And now this ball hangs up, and my goodness, stealing a page out of the Wolverines playbook, Michael Andrich sort of lollipops that one in around the 20-yard line, and it took a valiant effort there at the last minute by Carter Atkins to dive on that one as the Gators were bearing down on him.
Yeah, and I think if you can execute that kick, you have a kicker who can pull it off. Almost every team should be going to that type of kick. It's so difficult to return. You're never going to really get it cleanly. Yes, there's a risk of kicking it out of bounds, but especially against a team with a dynamic returner, and in a situation like this, that's always a good option to lean on.
Makai Burns-Diggs and Nazir Diggs in on the stop. Walters under center here. He's going to take a knee, and that is going to take us to halftime. My goodness, what a game we got. 14 points to start by the Wolverines, but it's 14 unanswered by the home team here on senior night. The Gators are able to square this one up, and boy, resiliency from these Gators, the key word in half number one. They had every reason to fold down 14-0, throwing a third interception. Here we are, knotted up at halftime. What the heck happened in the second quarter?
Especially after how they finished last week against Penn Trafford, blowing a big lead. A lot of teams would just kind of pack it up, but not Gateway in this first half. And I think you're seeing the growth of Mason Mitchell, like just in one half, exemplified to a T right there. Early on, he wasn't ready for the length and the quickness of the defensive line of Woodland Hills. Then, as he got more used to it, got more comfortable with the zone coverage, he started to realize, I need to layer some of these throws. I need to be a little bit more patient. I can't force it. I got to check for an extra linebacker dropping in coverage, right? And now he's just more comfortable with it. I think that comes with speeding up the tempo as well, because you get more of a static picture. Woodland Hills was moving things around defensively, and I think as Gateway had some urgency towards the end of the second half, or the second quarter, they had to speed up their offense, and it forces you out of some of those checks defensively, right? So it's a more static picture that Mitchell knows he can look at. I think Gateway in the second half should lean into that up tempo, and because I think it's a big advantage for their passing game.
We will step aside. It is halftime here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and what a game we have had thus far. 14-all at the end of half number one. The bands are taking the field. We'll cut so that you can listen to them, including senior night for our talented Gators band members. We'll be back to start the second half. For Josh Yorish, I'm Vince Russo. Great second half coming your way. Stick around, folks, here on GatewayGatorProductions.com.
Julia Bobbin is escorted by Mom Nicole, Sister Jamie, Brother Joshua, and Uncle Stacy. Julie has been in the color guard for 5 years. Her favorite color guard moment is when the music cut out during the champs run of Empire State of Mind, and they got to perform the most adrenaline rush performance. Julia plans to study sports psychology. B. Cook, escorted by her dad Robert, her mother Jen, and brothers Conrad and Matthew. B has been in the band for 4 years. Her favorite band moment is when Callie got stuck in the trail. B plans to become a professional artist. Rocco Donnelly is escorted by parents Michael and Lisa, brother Ryan, and sister-in-law Brittany. Rocco has been in the marching band for 5 years. His favorite band moment was doing impressions in the back of the bus on the way to Disney his freshman year. Rocco is attending the Ohio State University for computer science or information technology. Callie Geraci is escorted by parents BJ and Caitlin, brother Logan, and little sister Sawyer. Callie has been in the band for 4 years. Her favorite band moment was tea time with Kelly and Putinky Dunkel. After graduation, Callie wants to go to Kent State to major in fashion design and minor in accessories. Malachi Green is escorted by mom, Shauna, brother Kabari, and sister Kayani. Malachi has been in the band for 4 years. His favorite band moment is goofing off with the drum line over the years, show and tell with the drum line, and watching B flop like a turtle. Malachi is undecided about future plans. Sylvie Hardono is escorted by parents Tree and Ida, sister Sydney, and brother Sylvan. Sylvie has been in the band for 3 years. Her favorite band moments are going to the orchestra room to hang out with the drum line during rehearsal breaks. After graduation, Sylvie plans to attend Virginia Tech to study landscape architecture. Eve Joyner, escorted by parents Monica and Tony, and brother Arthur. Eve has been in the band for 5 years. Her favorite band moment is late night tea time. Eve plans to major in biology, apply to med school, and become a physician focused on women's health. Anthony Nelko is escorted by parents Cindy and Mark, sister and sister Alexis. Anthony has been in the band for 4 years. His favorite moment is headphones on. Anthony is undecided about his plans. Ethan Settlemeyer is escorted by parents Daniel and Deborah and brothers Carson, Justin, and Owen. Ethan has been in the band for 5 years. His favorite moment is when Ben, the drum major, tripped over the back prop during the show Rise. Ethan plans to continue his music career with music education. Congratulations to all the seniors we celebrate tonight. Best of luck in your future endeavors, and thank you for your time and dedication to the Gateway High School Marching Band.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure to introduce to you the 2026 Gateway High School Senior Cheerleaders. First will be Taylor Anderson. Taylor is being escorted tonight by her mom, Tracy, her dad, Jerome, and her siblings. She has been cheering for 9 years and also participates in the No Place for Hate Club. One of her favorite memories is cheer camp sophomore year and riding the bus home from away games. After graduation, she plans to attend college to study criminal justice and become a lawyer and eventually start her own law firm. Senior cheerleader, Taylor Anderson. Next will be Brianna Evans. Brianna is being escorted tonight by her mom, Brooke, her dad, Andrew, and her little sister, Ariana. She has cheered for Gateway for 5 years, where she has brought spirit, energy, and dedication to every game and event she's involved with. She works to teach the same attitude to the students she coaches at GMFCA, which she has done for the last 3 years. She is also going into her 3rd year on Gateway's flag football team. Brianna is also involved with the Student Government Association, the Black Student Union, and Senior Class Council. After graduation, she plans to pursue a degree in nursing to start her career as a pediatric nurse. Senior cheerleader, Brianna Evans. Next will be Kaya Grandy. Kaya is being escorted by her mom, Nicole, her dad, Stan, and her sister, Malaya. She has been cheering for 7 years and is honored to be one of the varsity captains this year. Kaya has also participated in symphonic band and flag football. One of her favorite memories is earning the banana for the first time as a sophomore at UCA cheer camp. After graduation, she plans to attend college to become a pediatric nurse and later advance her career as a nurse practitioner. Senior cheerleader, Kaya Grandy. Next will be Nia Hess-Smith. Nia is being escorted by her mom, Jennifer, her dad, Will, and her brother, Harlan. This is her 1st year as a cheerleader, and outside of school, she also dances with Studio G's dance team. One of her favorite memories was going to Rita's with the seniors after taking their senior cheer pictures. After graduation, she plans to continue her education by earning an associate's degree in dental hygiene. Senior cheerleader, Nia Hess-Smith. Next will be Ayana Hayden. Ayana is being escorted tonight by her mom, Chelsea, her brother, Tavon, and her sisters, Tiana and Desi. Ayana has been cheering for 8 years, both competitively and for her school. Her favorite memory is the team sleepover her freshman year at a gym. Ayana plans to attend college and get her esthetician license. Senior cheerleader, Ayana Hayden. Next will be Andrea Johnson. Andrea is being escorted by her dad, Andre, her stepmom, Samantha, and her 3 siblings, Dreana, Drayden, and Samira. Andrea has been cheering for 2 years and also participates in flag football, tennis, coaching GMFCA, and has been a part of many different clubs. One of her favorite memories is staying at an away cheer camp with her team at Slippery Rock. After high school, she plans on attending a 4-year university to get her BSN and work her way up to become a CRNA. Senior cheerleader, Andrea Johnson. Next will be Jocelyn Josephs. Jocelyn is being escorted by her parents, Davina and Braden Allen, as well as her siblings and family. She has been cheering for 3 years and also plays softball, basketball, flag football, runs track, and boxes. Her favorite memory is Nick Farrar winning the homecoming king last year and running on the field to congratulate him. After she graduates in January, she will go to the Army for 8 months and then return home to Duquesne University to be part of their ROTC program while studying pre-med to become a neonatologist. Senior cheerleader, Jocelyn Josephs. Next will be Victoria Reed. Victoria is being escorted tonight by her mom, Brandy, her dad, Brian, and her sister, Olivia. She has been cheering for 13 years and is also a part of the Senior Student Council and SGA. One of her favorite memories was being able to go to Slippery Rock cheer camp with all of her teammates. After graduation, she plans to go to college to major in psychology and go on to earn her PhD. Senior cheerleader, Victoria Reed. Next will be Nadia Zakelli. Nadia is being escorted by her dad Rudolph, her stepmom Madison, her sister Shayna, and her brother Luca. She has been cheering for 10 years and has been honored to be the varsity captain her senior year. Nadia is also a part of Gateway's flag football team and other sports and activities within the Gateway School District. Some of her favorite memories come from the simple moments at practice, laughing, smiling, and building lifelong friendships with her teammates. After graduation, Nadia plans to attend CCAC to pursue the accelerated nursing program and become an RN before continuing on to earn her real estate license. Nadia is grateful for the love and support of her family, teammates, and coaches who have helped her shape her journey. Senior cheerleader, Nadia Zakelli. Next will be Anaya Patterson. Anaya is being escorted by her mom, Desiree, her dad, Mark, and her younger sister, Alana. She has been cheering for 4 years and has been involved with Gateway Corral and a student coach for GMFCA throughout her high school career. One of her favorite memories was cheer camp during sophomore year. After graduation, she plans to attend college to major in pediatric nursing and later further her education to become a pediatric nurse anesthetist. Senior cheerleader, Anaya Patterson. And last but not least, Abigail Welsh. Abigail is being escorted by her dad, Sean, her mom, Jill, and her brother, Ben. She has been cheering for 3 years and also participates in Interact Club, SGA, Senior Class Council, and Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy. One of her favorite memories is cheering her first ever varsity football game. After graduation, she plans to attend college and major in elementary education and minor in special education. Senior cheerleader, Abigail Welsh. At this time, I would like to thank the seniors for their hard work this season thus far and wish them good luck in all their future endeavors.
Welcome back, getting ready for half number 2 here at Antamarino Stadium. Gators, Wolverines tied at 14 in an incredibly exciting first half that saw a lot more fireworks, let's say, than 28 points might dictate. We had turnovers, penalties, all kind of big plays, trick plays, but we're squared up basically at 0 after one half of play, and now we look at the second half. And Josh, what kind of adjustments do you expect from the Gators going into the second half?
I think you kind of saw them at the end of the first half, right? They're able to run the ball really well, and especially when they're getting downhill. Anything horizontally, they don't really have the speed to get to their perimeter, but if they can run the ball downhill, and then Mason Mitchell, just be more patient because they're blocking things up really well. You have time in the pocket, so survey things. Get to your next read, as he did on this throw to Tyree Gowder that set up a touchdown on the next play on a downhill run, right? These are the things they're doing really well. Mitchell's internal clock can slow down a little bit because the offensive line is blocking so well for him. And then you might need a little trickeration. S.J. Moorfield throwing that touchdown pass to Casey Carter was exactly what they needed on the goal line. They tried to go to a trick play earlier, and it didn't work, almost resulted in a turnover. But Gateway's winning, or at least in the first half, was winning the field position battle, and they were able to cash that in for scores. You got to do the same thing in the second half. If you're Woodland Hills, you got to find some vertical passing game at all. Everything is horizontal, and you can, rely on that a lot when Scoop Smith is such a dynamic playmaker. You're getting the ball into his hands. But if you're not stretching the field vertically and testing these Gateway defensive backs in man coverage, because they're playing a lot of man coverage, then you're really not going to expose much of this defense. You're going to allow them to bring more pressure. And that's what we saw with maybe a brewing quarterback controversy for Woodland Hills, a team that's undefeated in conference play and looks like it's just trying to figure things out on offense.
Both teams looking to gain the upper half here in half number 2. A lot to play for on both sides. The Gators, a win would bolster their status among the top 3 teams in the conference. It would remove Woodland Hills as the lone unblemished team in the Big East. If you're a Penn Trafford fan tonight, you're watching this score like a hawk, as the Warriors are up big time, 41-7 on Franklin Regional over in Murraysville. Meanwhile, Kiski area leading Armstrong 14-7. And here, a tie game, a fair catch, and the Wolverines will start with the ball at the 31-yard line. The up man corralling that one, Aiden Rice. So certainly a lot for both teams at stake here tonight, and a game deadlocked as we start the second half.
And you saw something a little different from Woodland Hills. They sent Scoop Smith to that left side just as Mikelandrich went up to kick the football away. So if that had gone a little farther, he would have been the returner on that side. But Woodland Hills, you just got to find ways to get the ball in his hands in the return game as they just tried, and offensively. I think that shows their number one priority right now is getting the ball to Scoop Smith.
Quick option play. They'll get it to Reed with a full head of steam, and he's able to pick up a nice chunk of yards on first down. Call it about 5 yards. Brings up second medium.
The run defense for Gateway has held up well. They've had injuries in the trenches, not really, a full arsenal of weapons on the defensive line, but their linebackers are healthy now with Jackson Smith back and Tyree Gowder playing really well. So you're seeing some good run defense at that second level.
Right on cue there, Josh. They're able to stop Reed in the backfield for a loss on second down. We'll bring up third and medium. Actually going to say he did get back to the line of scrimmage there with forward progress. I'm not so sure. I think they might have stopped him a little in the backfield. But regardless, it's 3rd and 5, and the Gators looking to try and get off the field here. And what a blessing it's been to have number 10 back in the lineup for the Gators, Jackson Smith, who drops into coverage here on 3rd down. They'll get it to Scoop Smith, and he is walloped. S.J. Moorfield took a couple hits from number 1. Now he dishes it back out the other way, and the Gators with a quick 3-and-out to start the second half.
Really good job defensively by Gateway identifying that and keeping tabs on Smith, who came across in motion. They had to kind of shift things around in their zone coverage, but Moorfield saw what the play was because he gets those design touches a lot of times, especially on 3rd down. He was able to diagnose it and make the play, and that's 3 straight punts for Woodland Hills going back to the first half.
Gators defense has looked every part of a stellar unit tonight. And now a skyrocketed punt that's not going to go very far at all, and it's going to take a very comfortable bounce for the Gators. And for the 3rd straight drive, we had 2 in the second quarter that helped the Gators get back into this game. For the 3rd time, they're going to start in Woodland Hills territory. And if my memory serves correct, this might be the best field position the Gators have had just about all night.
Yeah, I certainly think so. That's back to the original line of scrimmage on that 4th down with some backspin on that really high punt. The special teams game hasn't been too great from Woodland Hills. On kickoffs, they've been able to pin Gateway fairly deep, but punts haven't been great, and we've seen they don't really have a trustworthy kicking game. So that 3rd phase, Gateway is getting really solid field position and a chance to cash it in for the lead now.
Gators were down 14-0 early in the second quarter. They threw an interception. Woodland Hills had the ball. Looked like this one was in danger of getting away from the Gators. But resiliency, 2 late second half touchdowns, a 3-and-out, and now an opportunity here. It'd be the first lead of the night for the Gators, but they still have 37 yards to go against a talented Woodland Hills defense. Mason Mitchell going to hand it off to Julian Dancier, who gets a nice little pop on first down.
And I love establishing the run on the first offensive play of the second half because Dancier was running the ball really well. He became a bit of an afterthought before the end of the half, and now you see a little bit of tempo from Gateway.
And it's a quick pass out into the flats, and it's Carter who always falls forward. And this time is no different. He picks up the first down. The Gators quickly moving now inside the 25-yard line.
And this is the tempo I talked about before the halftime break that Gateway might want to lean on. It gives Mitchell a much more static picture. Woodland Hills can't do as many checks defensively.
Gators hurry to the line. Now they'll hesitate, get the play in from the sideline. Still plenty of time, 18 seconds on the play clock. Here on first down. 4 receivers set, but they'll go with Dancier. Dancier had a little bit of a pocket there that closed quickly, and now it's a few yards and a cloud of dust. A gain of still about 5 yards, though, on first down.
Dancier has really good vision and patience. That time He didn't wait because he saw the crease, and he's going to get what's there. Tonight he's broken some more tackles and created some explosive plays because of it, but anything that's blocked up for him, he's going to find a way to get.
See if they call his number again here on second down. They will. No. Mitchell pulls it out. Good fake. And now this time, just a quick little throw to Carter, who continues to rumble inside the 14-yard line. That looks like it might be just enough for a first down. It's going to be close, and they rule that it is. So take another look. What a grab by Carter.
Risk of an illegal man downfield again on that RPO. Mitchell holding on to it for a really long time, but eventually flips it off to Carter and gets a positive gain out of it.
Gators playing loose here at home on senior night. They've got the Wolverines reeling a little bit. Dan Sear, another productive run forward. This one going to be a gain of about 2 on first down. Everything closes in a little bit more here as the Gators enter the red zone.
Really like what they're doing in the run game. It's just a lot of duo, working those double teams up to the second level. Nothing pulling, nothing to the perimeter. Your advantage is just going straight downhill against Woodland Hills.
Gators again with the hard count. They got the Wolverines to jump a couple times in the first half. They stay at home this time. Mitchell gets the play in from the sidelines. And he's going to pull that one out of the breadbasket of Dan Sear. He gets it to Moorfield, who breaks a couple tackles inside the 5. Down close to first down yardage again. Let's take a look, see if he got enough.
And I said Moorfield was able to diagnose this similar play defensively because these are the type of design touches that he gets so he can make a play with the ball in his hands, and that's exactly what he did, setting up 3rd and short.
Going to be about half a yard for the Gators to gain here on 3rd down inside the 5. Down for a moment, and now up walking off under his own power is Robinson Ray. For Woodland Hills. Been a physical game and a chippy game. Everything has been within the confines. We did have a late hit along the sidelines against Woodland Hills that ended up being nullified by an unsportsmanlike penalty for the Gators. That's really some of the only time we've seen temperatures really rise up to a boiling point in this one. Otherwise, it's just been a good old-fashioned physical game between two crosstown rivals that trying to get a win here in conference play. Timeout is called. And so that'll stop things here with 7:27 left to play in the 3rd quarter. And the Gators on the doorstep looking for their first lead in this one. And Josh, 3rd, half a yard. What's the play call here if you're Don Hall and company?
Honestly, I think you got 2 plays at this. The way your defense has been playing, you would absolutely go for it on 4th and short as long as you don't lose big-time yardage or something. So I just hand it off to Dan Sear. Do exactly what you've been doing. Run it downhill. He's good enough and has good enough vision that he can probably get you 1 yard. So I think you just run it downhill twice, feel pretty good about your chances of getting a first down, and then you cross the next bridge of trying to get it into the end zone when you get there.
Let me talk about, Dan Sear, you mentioned it a few moments ago, has been really good at breaking that first tackle tonight, making the 2nd, 3rd man bring him to the ground. When you only need a half a yard, that certainly serves you well when you've got the prowess to be able to break that initial tackle. See what they draw up here, 3rd and short. They will give it to Dan Sear, and Dan Sear going to get stood up at the 5-yard line, loses about a foot or 2, makes it 4th down and about a full yard now in decision time for Don Hall.
That's a huge open field tackle by DJ Detrell. You saw the jump cut by Dan Sear. I said he has really good vision on those types of runs. He found the hole. It just got filled immediately by Dutrell, who found it too.
Khalid Harper now in. 5'10", 195 pounds along that line at the tight end position. The offense stays on the field, and a big play here on 4th down. That's going to be an incomplete pass. They tried to go with the option at the last minute. Mitchell knew he was dead to rights, tried to flip that one forward, and the Gators come up empty. Woodland Hills with a big stop inside their own 5-yard line.
And I know you got stopped on the first downhill run, but I say go right back to it. Anything to the perimeter today, the linebackers for Woodland Hills are too quick to the ball, and you saw the exact same thing there. A speed option like that is supposed to put the linebackers in conflict, but they just cut away the angle from Mitchell, so he didn't even have the pitch. And the pitch man didn't really stay behind. You kind of want to trail the quarterback so he can flip that out. But even that would have been taken away the way they played it from the second level of Woodland Hills. I just don't love the play call trying to go to the perimeter when you haven't had success getting there all night.
So now the Wolverines offense takes the field in the shadow of their own end zone. Have to be mindful here. They'll hand it to Scoop Smith. He's able to get outside. And a good angle there, cutting across the field is Carlos Diggs. He's able to stop that one before it becomes too big a problem. It's going to be pretty close to first down yardage, a gain of about 8.5 yards on first down.
How's that for some breathing room? You don't want to be throwing out of your own end zone. You typically want to just hand it off for a little drive starter. Go to your best player, get him on the perimeter, and let him make a play. That's exactly what Scoop Smith did.
Gators nearly had him bottled up in the backfield, but Smith able to step out of the first would-be tackle, got to the outside. Diggs took the good angle to ensure that he wasn't able to break that for a game-changing play. And now Walter looking for Smith again, and a beautiful over-the-shoulder catching. We talked about it. Smith had a pretty quiet second quarter here, 2 big plays in a row to flip the field for the Wolverines.
The Gateway defense plays a lot of single high safety and a lot of man coverage, and eventually that's going to bust against a player like Smith. They didn't really try to stretch the field vertically. The first time they do it, they get a big-time completion, and boy, did Walter need that after the first half he had.
As we were transitioning out of the replay, the Gators looked like they may have jumped. They did, so that's going to add insult to injury after a long passing play. Wolverines pick up over 30 yards through the air. They'll get 5 more on the defensive penalty against the Gators, and now they'll go to work in the ground game, which is 5 yards to gain. They get 3 there on first down.
Still feels like Woodland Hills really wants to establish a more traditional run game. They've got the explosives from Smith. You saw a perimeter run from him to start this drive, but Reed hasn't really gotten going, and it feels like the Woodland Hills coaching staff wants to establish that in the second half.
See what the play call is here. They'll put Smith in the Wildcat with 4 receivers to his left. Empty set. Now man in motion. Smith bobbles the snap. Now just trying to dance away from everyone, and does for a moment. Still might not quite have enough for the first down, but you just see again that elusiveness of Smith. Looked like he was going to get bottled up. Able to spin away from 3 Gators defenders and still gain a yard.
Yeah, that's just special athleticism to get out of that situation and not lose yardage. It looked like he gained 1, and now it'll be 3rd and short and maybe in 4-down territory.
Wendell Hall with the stop there, upending Smith right before he got to the line to gain. So it is 3rd down and 1 at the Gators' 39-yard line. And another Wildcat snap here. They'll go with Reed on the outside. He's able to get some running room. And eventually Michael Burrows, able to drag him down from behind, but not before. He runs for almost 20 yards. They needed 1, they got 19. And it's a fresh set of downs with the Wolverines now at the Gators' 20.
Taylor Reed's 185 pounds. He hasn't had much success running between the tackles. Get him on the perimeter and dare these Gateway defensive backs to tackle him.
Spinning away from the first would-be tackler. This man we saw throw a pass on the punt earlier. That's Prince Tarrant, the coach's son. There's a flag down on the near side of the field, totally away from the play. One on the other side of the field as well. Looks like it might be an ineligible man downfield. Does that look like it was certainly designed to be a run play?
Yeah, I think Tarrant was just trying to throw it away once he got outside the pocket, which isn't a bad idea, but you run the risk of having an offensive lineman outside of the buffer zone.
So that'll be a 5-yard penalty. It will remain first down for the Wolverines. And you wonder, are they just trying to throw different looks, or is Cam Walter potentially feeling some of those heavy hits from the first half? He got walloped a few times, landed on his shoulder a time or two, and they already weren't having a great run of it in the passing game, although this time they just completely left a receiver wide open. It's Taryn, who had taken the Wildcat snap the previous play. This time he just blows past Nazir Diggs, who read that play, and I don't exactly know what happened there, but Diggs went one way, the receiver went the other way.
Diggs bit really hard on that play fake, and that's what happens when you're running a lot of Wildcat, you're running the ball a lot, and if you're in man coverage with no safety help, you can't really take a gamble like that. You have to stay out there with the receiver. Diggs vacated, took a big chance, and it turned into a Woodland Hills touchdown. And this is the worst way the second half could possibly start for Gateway. You drive all the way down into the red zone, get stopped on fourth down, come away with nothing, and one of the benefits of going for it there, you potentially pin them. Gateway couldn't do it. A touchdown drive, and it looks like it'll just be 6.
That PAT no good. Kicking game has not been a plus for the Wolverines tonight. Special teams in pretty much totality has not been a strength for the Wolverines tonight. Gators have won that facet of the game, and so the lead is back up to 6 for the Wolverines, and the Gators have to try and have a short memory there, both offensively and defensively. Half started out on a high note. They got a 3-and-out, forced a brutally short punt that ended up a net of 0. Took over the ball deep inside Wolverines territory, drove to the 1, or not to the 1, drove down 4th and 1 before turning it over inside the 5, and then there you see the Wolverines able to go 96 yards.
And looking at that play again on that replay, it looked like it was a design corner blitz all the way from Diggs. So that's on S.J. Moorfield, the safety over the top. You have to know that if there is a play fake or whatever, you're responsible for the receiver. He's the one who bit really hard. You can see Moorfield at about the 15-yard line on the right side of your screen. He bites on this play fake and loses sight of Tarrant, takes a back step when he realizes the quarterback has the ball. That, from the looks of it, that's a design corner blitz all the way. So that's not on Diggs, that's on Moorfield for biting on that fake.
Good analysis by our color commentator, Josh Yorish. A big shout out to our entire crew. It's a crowded press box up here tonight. A lot of outlets covering this rivalry game, and we certainly appreciate you tuning in to GatewayGatorProductions.com. One of the other production crews took a moment during halftime to commend the work that this crew does, and I want to make sure to do that on the air as well. Our entire production led by Adam Gusky and Lee Schaefer the third, quarterbacking our broadcast tonight.
Another chance for good field position for Gateway after that penalty for the celebration in the end zone that is now on the kickoff.
This one a very short kick, and the Gators got to hurry up and get on it. They do. Heads up play there by one of the seniors who was honored prior to the game on senior night tonight, Colin Ireland.
And this is the 4th straight drive that starts in Woodland Hills territory. 2 of them resulted in touchdowns. The last one a 4th down stop inside the 5-yard line. Gateway's moving the ball really well. They have an opportunity to answer the score and still a chance to take the lead because of the missed extra point.
Table is still definitely set for the upset-minded Gators here on senior night. Clawed their way out of a 14-0 hole to tie the game up before halftime. Woodland Hills fresh off a touchdown in which they missed the extra point. Dan Sear again with some running room, and he's able to pick up what looks to be about 5 yards on first down. Productive first down carry. More times than not tonight, that's been Dan Sear's MO on first down.
Ziggy Moore on that play. The right read for Mitchell would have been to pull that ball and keep it, and Moore realized it. He knew he overran it, went back and looked at the quarterback thinking he would have pulled the ball out. Instead, he gave it, and then Moore had some help to make that tackle. But just a funny play from the veteran linebacker who knew the right read.
Now Dan Sear with another big chunk of yards, but this one's going to come back. There's going to be a holding call down along the line. As that time, DJ Dutrell was held. It'll be 10 yards from the spot. See if we can get a better look at where the infraction took place. We do know right there that number 55, Roberson Louis June, going to be the guilty culprit. And here, excellent shot by our crew. It's going to be 10 yards from about the 38, 39 yard line. They're going to say it was at the 40, tack on essentially an extra yard, so that makes it now 2nd down and 13, with 2nd and 5, so in totality an 8-yard penalty. The Gators now behind the sticks on 2nd down and on the verge of going back into their own territory. Luckily, they won't have to worry about that. Dan Sear, a beautiful run on 2nd down, and Josh, those holes are really starting to open up for the junior tailback.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Gateway's doing a really smart thing here, running more read option and leaving the edges unblocked so they can even get to the 2nd level more with those double teams on the interior. You just let Mitchell handle the defensive end. He's been giving it to Dan Sear, and Dan Sear has even more running room because those offensive linemen are blocking linebackers now instead of dealing with the defensive ends.
Well, this is where the last drive derailed for the Gators. 3rd and short. They're going to go to the air. And right across the middle, who else but Dan Sear. Needed a couple, got about 5 yards. Easy pitch and catch, good play design. Nothing too complicated about that one, Josh, but a fresh set of downs for the Gators.
And just really good awareness, first by Mitchell to recognize that he's hot. He's got a corner blitz coming. He's going to get the ball out quickly. He does it with an accurate throw. And then Dan Sear running across into a defender. He just tiptoes across the 1st down marker instead of trying to bounce it all the way to the outside and lose yardage, as we so often see receivers do.
Gators
Pressure
now.
looks like it's coming again.
And they do. They bring the blitz. And it pays off. Jaden Stammer was behind the play. You see him hopping. If the quarterback had only had some time, might have been an opportunity to let one fly, but the blitz pays off for the Wolverines.
And that's a good decision by Woodland Hills to try to heat Mitchell up. He's really long in the mesh point on these read options or these RPOs, and you just need to force that decision to be a lot quicker, and you can do that by bringing pressure from the edges.
Gators behind the sticks again on this drive. They faced a 2nd and 13 after a holding penalty that they were able to overcome. Now 2nd and 17 from the Wolverines 40. They'll keep it on the ground here with Dan Sear, not moving away from that productive running game. And they get another nice chunk here. Josh, I think I like that play call for a number of reasons, but most of which is you're very likely in 4-down territory, so picking up a chunk of yards there makes that much more palatable to think about 11 yards in 2 plays.
Yeah, and also they're bringing more pressure. Run into it sometimes. You think you don't want to run into a blitz. You can if they're being over aggressive and overrunning it. You saw a good gain. Maybe they'll have to back off.
They'll fake the pressure this time, drop more into coverage, and it's another easy pitch and catch. And again, you talk about it. Need 11 yards over 2 plays if you're thinking 4 downs, and so this is right on schedule. Pick up about half of that here with a pitch and catch to Moorfield, and it sets you up with 4th and definitely somewhat manageable inside the 30.
Casey Carter from the inside of the slot running one of those for the love of the game routes. You know you're not going to get the ball. You're just clearing things out for the receiver coming in behind you.
4th down. Gators have come up empty on their first 2 tries on 4th down. They're going to set up the screen. They got a lot of room here. Dan Sear down toward the 20-yard line. More importantly, he's got a 1st down. So the Gators convert a big 4th down, and they've got the football right outside the red zone.
Mitchell sold that really well with his eyes. Sometimes a quarterback gives away a screen too early. He was patient enough to hold the 2nd-level defenders, especially number 9, Earl Perry, who was following his eyes over to the left side of the field. Then Mitchell whips back around to the right and gives Dan Sear a lot of space to go get that 1st down.
That brings us to the end of the 3rd quarter. 20-14 our score as you take one more look at that crucial 4th down pitch and catch. Mitchell to Dan Sear for the first down. Woodland Hills comes away with the touchdown. They missed the extra point. A couple big plays by Scoop Smith. The Gators defense continues to keep them in this game. The offense is moving the ball. They came up short on their first drive of the half inside the Wolverines' 5-yard line. Can they finish this one off and give themselves an opportunity to go out in front for the first time today? One thing's for sure, you do not want to miss these final 12 minutes here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. This has been a real fun one tonight here. Senior night.
And
go ahead, Josh.
I really love the chess match that we're getting on this side of the ball. To start this drive, Gateway goes to more zone read, leaving the defensive ends unblocked so you can get to the second level and block the linebackers. As an answer, Woodland Hills starts bringing pressure from the secondary to force Mitchell to speed up that mesh point decision, right? And then Gateway goes away from some of the RPO stuff and just goes to quick throws and screens to counteract that, and some straight handoffs as well, running into that pressure, using that aggressiveness against Woodland Hills, especially on that screen. I just think really interesting chess match going on between the Gateway offense, the Woodland Hills defense, because these are long, drawn-out drives that Gateway is operating, and Mitchell is playing the quarterback position at a really high level.
Has certainly been a part of keeping the Gators within striking distance here. We'll start this 4th quarter with the Gators now going right to left. They got a fresh set of downs with the ball at the Wolverines 21. In the backfield, Lamont Bates scored a touchdown earlier for the Gators. 1-yard plunge after a big catch by Tyree Gowder. We'll see if they look his way here. Mitchell, eyes downfield, coming back to it. What a tremendous grab by Jaden Stammer. That looked like that one was going to get intercepted, but Stammer, an excellent job coming back to the ball and making sure he came away with it.
Mitchell going through his progressions again, gets to the backside dig and rips this throw. We see him throw with a lot of touch often. This one he fired in there, and he needed to, so the defensive back couldn't jump in front of the receiver. And as you mentioned, just an excellent grab from Stammer. As soon as he gets out of his break, that ball is on him. That's really high-level anticipation.
Prince Tarrant, I think, thought he might be coming up with a 4th INT on the day for Mason Mitchell. Instead, it is a Jaden Stammer, reception, good for 14 yards. A Wolverine is down, cramping on the field. That is the aforementioned Tarrant. And so that'll give both teams a de facto extra timeout here, 12 seconds into the 4th quarter. More importantly for the Gators, it is a 2nd straight drive with a goal-to-go situation. Last time they advanced the ball to about the 4.5-yard line and just couldn't get that extra half yard. Can they finish this drive off and give themselves a chance for Jackson Michael Andrich to hit a PAT that would give the Gators their first lead of the night?
And I think this is a situation where if you're Gateway, go back to that read option on this first play and maybe give Mitchell the ability to keep it. They've been keying in on Dan Sear. They stopped him and stuffed him for no gain on 3rd and 1, which forced you to go to the speed option to the outside. I don't love that, but if you're on the inside, even if it's like a midline read or something like that, you're still getting a downhill run game. You're still letting your offensive line take control, but you're also giving your quarterback a little bit of agency in an area where you kind of need the 11-man run game. You need that extra body.
Let's take a look at the other standings across 5A. Peters Township, last year's runner-up. They are the lone unblemished team in the Allegheny Six, a conference that last year had 5 teams advance to the postseason. This year, looking like it might be more of the same with 5 real quality teams there at the top. And then the Northeast, Pine Richland. A lot of folks believe they're the team to beat. 1 loss on the season, perfect in conference play. North Hills, their last check was losing to Shaler in what would be a bit of an upset tonight. Penn Hills playing against Mount Lebanon out of conference. They were losing that game at last check, but 5A always so much fun, so much parity. We've talked about early in the season, the Gators one of just 2 teams to win multiple championships in 5A since they went to the 6 classification look around that 2016 season. The Gators won in 17 and 19. The only other team to do it, Pine Richland. We have a flag now on the field. It's going to be a penalty against the Wolverines, offside. And so that'll be half the distance to the goal. Big break for the Gators.
Yeah, and before the snap, so interesting there. Looks like man coverage across the board and a lot of pressure coming from Woodland Hills.
They'll go back to the underclassmen. And it's Bates into the end zone again. And the Gators have tied this game up. And now they will have a chance with Jackson Michael Andrich on the field to take their first lead of the night. Take another look at this wide open running lane that Bates had to the end zone.
It's duo blocking from the offensive line of Gateway. That's really been the story all night, what they've relied on. William Donaldson, the sophomore right guard, wasn't a starter at the beginning of the year, got put into this offensive line because of some injuries and things shuffling around. He's done a really good job working with Louis June, the center, to get to the next level, blow the initial point of attack defenders off that point of attack, and create running lanes like you saw for Bates there.
Michael Andrich, his kick is up and good. And don't look now, Gators fans, but Gateway is ahead for the first time tonight against currently unbeaten in conference play Woodland Hills. And again, Bates now 2 touchdowns on the night. Dan Sear has done a lot of the heavy lifting in those 80 yards between the 10s, but then when a push comes to shove down around the end zone, they've gone with Bates, and boy, he has done a good job tonight.
A mad dash on the sideline for Gateway to get that kicking tee.
I start to wonder now, it's been a minute since the Wolverines have played a close game. Even in their loss to Central Catholic, they got, for all intents and purposes, whooped in that one. You have to really kind of go back to week 0 when they were in a 2-point barn burner against North Allegheny. And it's been pretty easy sledding for the Wolverines since, and now the Gators have them on the ropes here. Smith has it, scans his options. This is the guy you didn't want to have it, and he is pulled down. And they're not going to mark him down. He's still going. Oh my goodness. Scoop Smith going to take it the distance, 70 yards, and I cannot believe he kept his balance. We got to take another look at this one.
It looks like it was Makai Burns-Diggs, number 6, who had him in his grasp, was holding onto his jersey. Smith was so patient, waiting for running lanes. See if he goes down. It doesn't look like his knee touched the ground. That's incredible balance. He's got a really low center of gravity, just 5'6", really put together, and you just saw the balance on display and the patience. You know you can be that patient on a kick return when you have WPIAL champion 100-meter speed, and you saw it after he broke free of those tackles. That's why Michael Andrich was trying to keep the ball away from him. Woodland Hills started stacking their 2 returners and only breaking at the point of the kick, so they were able to time it right and get it, so Michael Andrich kicked it right to Smith, and he did the rest.
An absolute gut punch. After the Gators claim the lead, it's ripped back away from them just seconds later, and Don Hall irate on the sidelines.
Pointing back to the point where they're saying Smith was down, we have the benefit of replay. His knee never touched.
It certainly didn't appear so. I was trying to simultaneously look at ankles and elbows and anything.
A hand went down onto the ground. A shin got really close. But on the look we had, and it was a really excellent shot from the crew, it doesn't look like he was down. And everyone on Gateway's sideline still arguing that he was down, not preparing for this 2-point play. Here's another look.
Try and look here. See the tackle attempt, and you got a body in the way there.
It's close on that left or right shin. that goes close to the turf, but certainly a knee didn't get there, and I don't think a shin got there either, as Woodland Hills now prepares to go for 2 to make it a 7-point advantage.
I'm with you, Josh. I think he got away. Unbelievable. An incredible play by Smith. Now Walter going to step up, dive toward the goal line, and he's got the 2-point play.
That's massive.
Flag comes out at the end. We'll see what that's all about here. Things getting a little chippy between these two rivals. Maybe some words exchanged down in the end zone after the play. Let's take a look. Looks like it's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct on the Wolverines. So a second kickoff here in this second half is going to be impacted. The last touchdown, Prince Tarrant celebrated, drew a penalty. Gators were able to take advantage of that field position, and now once again, Woodland Hills is going to be kicking further back because of a penalty after a touchdown. And that's just composure you got to have. You've completely grabbed all the momentum in this game.
You don't want to give great field position again. We take another look at this, and his knee never got down. You're not going to get a better shot than the one we just looked at. We've seen this angle. There's a body in the way. It's the right knee / shin of Smith that gets really close, and you can see it almost touch there, but it never got to the turf. 2 just incredible shots from the crew. He stayed up, and that's just a ridiculous play. And then even to erase everyone's angle, because it wasn't like he was immediately gone once he got into space, right? There was the kicker back and a lot of players in pursuit kind of cutting away the angle. It's just ridiculous track speed from Smith.
So Smith, 70 yards plus, gives the Wolverines the lead right back. And now ball trails out of bounds, almost held up at that last minute. A diving effort by number 13, Anthony Barron, for the Wolverines. And again, that sort of wonky kick giving the Gators some fits along the sidelines, but luckily this one trails out of bounds harmlessly. For the first time in quite some time in this game, the Gators start with the ball on their own side of the field, albeit still decent field position at the 36.
Yeah, they're still in a good spot, and they've continued to move the ball well. Like, they've had the upper hand in this matchup against the Woodland Hills defense. They just got to continue to do it. They're doing it methodically with really long drives. Woodland Hills is just striking immediately or 3 and out and a punt.
Gators set up the screen to Dancier. They get him in space. He's able to cut back, has some blocking, and very quickly up over the 45 to about the 47. Needed 10, got 11, and that'll move the chains.
If they want to get into some tempo, a first down on first down is the best way to do it.
Tackle made by number 8 for Woodland Hills, Jaden Jones, who came up limp a little earlier in the game with some cramping, but is back in action now. They'll go with Dancier on the ground this time, and he's just going to get back to the line of scrimmage, as it looks like an assignment or a block might have been missed there by Jaquan Reed. He got an earful from Roberson Louis June. Yeah, you see right there, just wasn't able to finish that block, and spring Dancier on the corner, which would have at least allowed him to grab a chunk of yards.
Dutrell has just been all over the place. He has sideline to sideline speed. He and Ziggy Moore, the linebackers for Woodland Hills.
2nd down and 9. Gators back to pass. Mitchell, plenty of time. Was it picked? Incomplete.
I think that hit the turf. That's a good call in real time by the official, who didn't have as good of an angle as we do from up here. That throw sailed on Mitchell.
Was looking for Moorfield across the middle of the field right here. Had him. That ball not on the mark. Let's see this second angle, if we can get a better look at the interception attempt by the safety. That's hard to say, but again, the officials down on the ground had a better look at it, just as they did the other potentially controversial call at Scoop Smith return touchdown. And a penalty flag comes in late. It was around the sideline. Ziggy Moore dumped Dan Sear on the sidelines. That's going to be a Gators first down. A big, big break for the Gators. As you see right here, set up the screen to Dan Sear. Moore flush that one out. And
I think it's just the finish. He drove him out of bounds, and then it's throwing him down to finish. Oh, they're saying a face mask. His hand got up around the face mask. I like that call.
That's it would have been that last second along the sidelines. You very well could have thrown a flag, but personally, I think that would have been a bit softer of a call. Ziggy Moore angry now. He lays out Dan Sear, and Mitchell wisely just sort of gets rid of that one as he had a whole host of Wolverines around him. Oh my goodness, take another look at this pop. But to that end, the face mask call, clearly the right one from the angle our crew got. Gators now live for second down after Mitchell throws that one away.
On that scramble drill from Mitchell, which was a good job extending that play, no receivers really broke vertically or anything. Everyone was just kind of blocking for him, thinking he was going to take off. But they had one-on-ones, and I think if somebody streaked toward the end zone, they would have had a good opportunity to score.
Gators have scored some pretty lengthy passing touchdowns. They've got the horses to do it, and now
that's the Ziggy Moore effect right there. He's been bringing pressure and getting into the backfield. You saw the big hit on Dan Sear that time. Right before the snap, he got close to the line of scrimmage, showed that he was going to bring pressure, and it made the offensive line jump.
Boy, after that hit he laid on Dan Sear, I think I would have jumped too. A really nifty play here. Dan Sear out on the edge, making men miss inside the 10-yard line, down to the 5. What an incredible play call. Mitchell takes it, goes right, turns around, hands off left on the delayed draw play, and it results in a big gain for Dan Sear. Look at that little trickeration.
That's good ball handling by the quarterback, and they sold the fake all the way. He just kind of snuck the ball in to Dan Sear from the backside. That's a really nice play call, and it got Dan Sear a ton of space.
Gators for a third straight drive in a goal-to-go situation. They'll hand it to Dan Sear. Makes one man miss. Dives toward the goal line. He's into the end zone. And the Gators, once again, are a PAT away from tying this game up.
Gateway is moving the ball at will on offense, and a lot of it is just Dan Sear. That's blocked up really well, and then he finishes through the tackle into the end zone. He's got to be up well over 100 yards. He's having an excellent, excellent evening,
to say the least. Jackson Michael Andrich now in for the PAT. Kick is up, and the kick is good. 9:45 left to go, and we are tied at 28. What a game this has been. What a performance by this Gators offense, overcoming 3 first-half interceptions. To put up 28 points, 28 of the last 42 points scored in this game to turn the tide. They've got the momentum back, and now, for the love of all things good, just don't kick the ball to Scoop Smith.
I was about to say, you score a touchdown, and now it's the scariest play possible against Woodland Hills if you kick it anywhere near Scoop Smith. We saw exactly what he can do. Even if you cover it incredibly well, he's just so difficult to bring down. I might just kick it out of bounds.
You took the words right out of my brain before they could even get to my lips. I would not even play with that fire at all.
Especially the way your defense has been playing. Woodland Hills had a really good drive. They hit the deep shot to Smith. They had the coverage bust, touchdown. But they haven't moved it consistently. Part of that is they're off the field with explosive plays, but there have been multiple 3-and-outs for Woodland Hills, and I just think you trust your defense regardless of the field position because you don't want to give Smith a chance. It looks like an onside maybe.
What are we doing here? Gators had it on the left hash. Now they'll move it to the center of the field, and a flag comes in. I don't know that I've ever seen that before, so we're going to see what the call is, and we're going to learn together, but that's going to be against the Gators.
Is it just a delay of game? Interesting decision.
Still better than kicking it to Smith, I'd say. But.
Yeah. They're prolonging that process.
And Smith is on the right side.
At least for now.
Like you said.
5 yards against the Gators. Here comes the
Switch
kick.
sides on the fly, and he's sort of playing like a safety right now, kind of seeing where that ball might go. And now this is interesting. The Gators, you know, if you kick it down the field and you kick it out of bounds, you give it to Woodland Hills at their own 35, which some coaches might already be loath to do based on how many times Scoop Smith has had opportunities to return kicks this year. But after you get backed up 5 yards, you kick one short now. Woodland Hills is going to start with the ball in Gators territory. Going to be right near that right hash, the 48-yard line. And so the Gators defense going to need a Herculean effort here against a Woodland Hills offense that has started to find a little bit of a groove here in this second half.
Last time we saw the offense out there, it was that 98-yard touchdown drive.
Far better field position for the Wolverines, going right to left on your screen. They'll send Scoop in motion. Now he's going to pull up and throw, and they've got Atkins wide open over the shoulder, and he's gone. Second straight drive that the Gators secondary bites. That time it is a design trick play to Scoop Smith, who gets a passing touchdown.
And a good throw. We saw Diggs bite on that fake. He didn't necessarily bite on the coverage bust touchdown. He looked like it was a design corner blitz that time. He just sold out, and how can you not after what you just saw Scoop Smith do on the kick return? He's now got a rushing touchdown. He's got a passing touchdown. He's got a return touchdown.
Extra point is good this time.
And Woodland Hills has the lead.
Pataki able to knock that one through, so the lead is back to 7 now for Woodland Hills. Certainly takes some of the wind out of the sails for the Gators. Once again, they've got to go out there and get 7. 9:36 left. This fourth quarter, we were flying along. It was 9:30. We were through 3 quarters of play. All of a sudden, this game has come to a halt, mostly because these teams can't stop scoring touchdowns.
And this is something we talked about in the first half and at halftime. Gateway plays a ton of man coverage with either no deep safeties or a single high safety. That was working really well in the first half when Woodland Hills was trying to run between the tackles and get everything horizontal, even the touches to Smith. Now they're trying to push the ball vertically, which they should do, and you just can't hold up in man coverage for that long against playmakers of this caliber, or when there's trick plays like that. We saw Scoop Smith with a long reception. We saw a coverage bust on the back end, and now we see the trick play net a touchdown. It's explosives all over the place for Woodland Hills, and it's because Gateway just can't hold up in man coverage right now.
And now Terrence Cole has to retreat into the end zone, and he's going to get bottled up at the 5-yard line.
Flag's
and now
coming
a couple
in.
Players get tangled up. Wendell Hall for the Gators and Andre Carrington. Depending on who the penalty is on, this could either make matters even worse for the Gators or could be a huge break for them. Right now, the Wolverines are gesturing as if that's going to be a foul on the Gators, which would be insult to injury for a team that's already going to be starting.
The field position battle and special teams was won by Gateway in the first half. That has completely flipped in the second half.
No kidding. Looks like these are going to be offsetting penalties between Carrington and Hall. And you look there, just a horrible mistake. Terrence Cole.
And a kick getting into the end zone is typically a touchback no matter what. It looked like Cole touched it before it got into the end zone, which forced him to retreat to field it there and to not get the ball at the 20-yard line.
So now the Gators, who have had great field position all night, are in the shadow of their own end zone. Wolverines had this happen earlier in the game and were able to go 94 yards for a touchdown. Gators now need to do the same, and after first down from the 6, it looks like they lost a yard. This Wolverines defense pinning their ears back. Out of the gun. They'll hand it to Dan Sear, who looked like he was going to get the edge for a moment, but then nothing going there. And who else but Ziggy Moore? That's the kind of guy you want to hang your hat on in this kind of situation to come through for you.
So many of those runs off tackle, the sweeps to the outside, anything to the edges for Gateway has looked like it's blocked up well. And then it's Dutrell or it's Ziggy Moore making it not so. Just blowing the play up immediately. Their sideline to sideline speed is giving Gateway big problems. That's why they need to stick between the tackles when they're on the ball.
3rd down and 11 from their own 5. This Wolverine secondary knows it's a passing situation. It's across the middle of the field, and it is caught by S.J. Moorfield. Oh my goodness, did the Gators need that. A gain of nearly 30 yards out to the 34-yard line for S.J. Moorfield.
Complete to Tyree Gowder.
What a throw.
Excuse me, that was Gowder. I missed that totally. Big ups to our crew pointing that out. Gowder, again, high pointing the ball. And Josh, go ahead.
That throw from your own end zone, under pressure, into tight coverage, just big-time stuff from the freshman. He's been so good since the early interceptions.
Now he's going to try and drop this one in the bucket, and just a little too much for Moorfield. That time it was Moorfield, and that time it was just a few yards off the mark for a receiver who did have a step on the defense there.
This is the one area of Mitchell's game I think you mentioned in the first half, just the deep ball, honing that in. And really that's just reps. That's him not getting the first team reps in training camp, not knowing he was going to be the starter, and you try to build those up over the season and in practice, but it's so difficult to make up for that lost time on the communication, especially on a play like that, which was a delayed kind of wheel by Moorfield.
Brings up 2nd and 10 from the 34. Mitchell, great pump fake. What was originally a design screen, instead he's just able to pull that one down. Get about 5 yards and sets up 3rd and very manageable from the 39-yard line.
The poise is just really impressive. Not throwing that ball into tight coverage, knowing earlier in the game, defensive ends have batted those down. He learned so quickly throughout a game. That's exactly what you want from your quarterback. He's adapting on the fly.
Big 3rd down now for the Gators at the 39-yard line. Mitchell scanning, lets this one go. Receiver gets tangled up. No flag flies.
I think that's good not to throw a flag there.
I tend to agree. That looked innocuous.
And that's on the scramble drill. Just Carter tries to flatten that out, and Mitchell tries to throw him deep. Carter was right to run that to the sideline.
So miscommunication. Now 7:42 left. The Gators are going to keep this offense on the field.
Play clock's running down.
7 seconds, 6 seconds. They get set, 4 seconds. They get the snap off. They set up the screen, and it is intercepted. Who else? If it's not Ziggy Moore, it's number 22, DJ Dutrell, coming up with maybe the play of the game.
That's the second time we've seen Gateway, before a big 4th down, take a very long time getting the play in, and then it's just such a rushed operation. That interception's really not on Mitchell. I mean, it's a design screen. I don't hate the call. They've had success with those, but it's just frenetic. It's rushed. You put your quarterback in kind of a frenzied state. If you don't have the play call in time, that's a big enough down. I hate the think it over timeout because it's typically a waste, especially in a close game. But trailing as you are at this point in the game, that's a big enough play in your own territory. Call the timeout, make sure you have the right play, and the operation is clean.
I'm with you. When you get down to being so focused about just getting the snap off, there's no opportunity. Everything is rushed from that point there on out. It's a point well made, and it led to an interception, Mitchell's 4th of the night. By far the most unfortunate with how well he had recovered, and now Woodland Hills with an opportunity to try and land a death blow. Tackle up around the neck area. Walter has taken a few heavy hits tonight. We've seen him in and out of the lineup. Some designed to get some Wildcat snaps in, but we saw that series toward the end of half number 1 where it looked like he might not have been well enough to go, and we saw the backup, number 17, Jaron McKinney. So the Wolverines now behind the sticks, and a productive physical run from Taylor Reed, who we have not seen much of tonight. He has been very quiet for the Wolverines, but when push comes to shove, they trust him to go out and get those yards, and he turns 2nd and long into 3rd manageable.
I like them getting back to that. Everything's been on the perimeter for a while. It's been a lot of short passes. They've taken some deep shots as well. Just run it back up the middle, see if you can reestablish that.
Gators almost jumped on the hard count. Wolverines will slow things down, use a bit of clock, and get the play in from the sidelines here on 3rd down and 3.
It feels like a really big play.
And it's a handoff. And Reed.
Stiff arm.
My goodness, just casting bodies off of him. He does go out of bounds, which will stop the clock, but not before he gets into the red zone and picks up the 1st down.
Really good job diagnosing this run, closing on it by Stammer, or by Diggs rather, but he just gets thrown to the turf by the big physical running back. I mentioned earlier, you have a size advantage with your back. Force defensive backs to tackle him. More condensed formations can do that, or runs to the perimeter, and we saw the value of those physical mismatches right there.
So fresh set of downs for the Wolverines. They'll hand off again. Reed stringing bodies along down to about the 10-yard line. A gain of 7 on 1st down as the clock winds toward the midway point of this 4th quarter. Wolverines trying to open up a 2-score lead here late in this one.
Gateway's thin in the trenches, and I think you're seeing the effect of that now. A lot of their defensive linemen are also their offensive linemen. That's the case for a lot of teams, but they can't really rotate bodies and get fresh bodies in there throughout the game. I think they're just wearing down, and Woodland Hills is finally starting to lean on them.
Gators led 21-20, then tied it up 28-28. Pass to the back of the end zone, incomplete. Covered well there was the intended receiver, Anthony Barron, by Ian Woods.
I don't know about that decision to throw the ball there, right? You want to prioritize running the clock down. I guess if you think you can score a touchdown, and they almost did, then you just try to lay that knockout blow. But you're running the ball well, you're salting away the clock. Probably just stick with that, and I imagine that's what they're going to do on 3rd.
Brings up 3rd down and 5. What you would imagine to be 4-down territory now for the Wolverines. Inside the 20 and with a less than robust kicking game to fall back on. Snap a little wide to the right. Walter able to collect it in, throws it to the back of the end zone. Beautiful throw, great route, and open in the corner of the end zone is Landon Atkins, the 5'11 senior receiver, and he scores a touchdown.
That's a really good throw to that back corner of the end zone. Timed really well, one at the top of the route, but it's also impressive because of the late hands of the receiver, right? Diggs was closing the space and maybe would have had a chance to make a play on that ball if he knew it was coming, but the receiver waited so long, Akins, to throw his hands up and show that the ball was even coming his way, that Diggs never had a chance.
So PAT up and good with 5:27 left. And Woodland Hills now for the 5th time in 8 games has scored at least 41 points. PAT makes it 42. And the Wolverines cheer squad and fans are starting to celebrate. They're in the driver's seat after the Gators mounted a furious comeback. Still a lot of time left in this one, but Gators need big plays and fast, and they need to find a way to slow down this Woodland Hills offense that has really refound the rhythm that it had in the first quarter.
All the press coverage, and I think another impact of the tiring of the defensive line for Gateway, press coverage can buy your pass rush an extra half second to get to the quarterback, but if they don't get there and you're in man, you're not going to hold up for very long. Gateway was getting there early on, and they haven't really gotten any pressure on Walter in this second half, and I think that's why you're seeing so many explosive plays.
So the Gators will get the ball back here. Need to move quickly. It's been the running game with Julian Dancier that has been a big catalyst in getting them back into the game at this point. You would think with 5.5 minutes and needing 2 touchdowns. And we'll see a heavy dose of Mason Mitchell, who has had his moments for sure.
It's been better than a 4-interception performance would show on the box score, but it's hard to ignore those turnovers.
Short kick. Someone's got to field it. Finally, Terrence Cole does at about the 20, and now he's got some running room up over the 35. Gets out of a tackle. He's over midfield. He's got a step. It's a foot race. 20, 15, 10, down, close to the 5-yard line. It looks like they're going to mark him out back at the 10. But boy, did the Gators need that. My goodness.
What a spark. The kicker nearly brought him down here. See, number 35 spun him around, but Cole kept his balance, and almost everybody kind of stopped for a second and then realized, oh, this is still live, and Cole always knew it was. Took off and had the advantage down that sideline. Big play. Potentially touchdown-saving play by Rontez Miles if Gateway's unable to punch this in.
Not quite the level of athleticism we saw from Scoop Smith, who was just inches away from being tackled and took it the distance. But Terrence Cole, a great second effort, sets up the Gators in a goal-to-go situation. They hand it off on the jet sweep to S.J. Moorfield. Nothing happening there. Be second down and 10 from the 10.
Jaden Jones made a really nice ankle tackle there on Moorfield, who's not an easy player to bring down.
Second and goal. They'll officially mark it now at the 9, so it's a gain of 1 for Moorfield. Mitchell, plenty of time. Pushed from the pocket. Now he's going to run. He cuts back inside. He's down around the 5-yard line. The Gators need to keep going here. Clock rolling, 4:29 and counting left. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 5.
If you're not going to run that to the pylon, just throw it away. Cutting it back up the field is going to force Gateway to use a timeout, and that's major, trailing by 2 scores.
One thing Don Hall's done really well this season in the second half of games is keeping those timeouts in the back pocket. Now we can go back and forth. Would you trade one of those timeouts for that 4th down screenplay that got intercepted? Well, that's neither here nor there at this point. You can only work with what you got going, and luckily the Gators do still have 2 timeouts after using one here.
Yeah, I think that's a good time to go to it. You can give Mitchell 2 plays. You know you're going to go for it on 4th down. You won't have to take a long time getting that 4th down play call in. You'll already have it for him. If you don't score on 3rd, then you can operate a little bit quicker, settle things down, because the timeouts are irrelevant if you don't score a touchdown.
Woodland Hills trying to keep the Gators at bay here. It has been a back-and-forth battle all night. Woodland Hills 3-0 in conference play, trying to stay undefeated. And another interception. Finally taken away by big number 16. We saw that this might happen. Inside the 15, gets past Mitchell, and he'll rumble the entire way. Don Shea Mosley. Josh, he'd been so close so many times. The flag is down behind the play. This will likely come back, but will the interception still stand? Based on where the flag has been thrown, another one thrown down around the 5-yard line.
I think that one's for the celebration, which might be null.
Probably have some sort of block in the back. There was some sort of physicality. Temperatures have been rising throughout this game. Might have seen a blindside block, something to that effect. The officials will have a conference at the 25-yard line.
This is a consequential flag here. Take a look at the play, see if we can see anything before the interception. Just trying to get the screen to Dancier, and you mentioned it's been multiple times. Yeah, I think that's where the flag is. Mosley's gotten his hands on quite a few, especially in the first half. Mitchell kind of went away from throwing those screens in his direction, but at this point you just got to raise the risk. You got to take that chance if that's the play, and ultimately.
So the officials are walking back down to where the play originated.
Gateway's defense is out there. I think they're certainly comfortable that they're going to be defending.
So what you'll have is at least one penalty, if not two, personal fouls on Woodland Hills. Where the ball will end up, we still are not sure. But it will be, unless something else that we've missed comes into play here, it'll be Wolverines ball. There you go. Both penalties are against Woodland Hills. Both of them happened after the turnover. And we've seen so many times tonight, Donshea Mosley getting his hands. That was the 4th time he had broken up a pass from Mason Mitchell, who has now thrown 5 interceptions tonight.
Some loud boos there from the crowd. I think it was both Woodland Hills fans unhappy that the touchdown was wiped away and Gateway fans who were wishfully thinking that the interception was going to be wiped away. So nobody really happy with the result.
Well, if you're an official, it just sort of comes with the territory.
Yeah, it's a thankless job.
These guys have done an outstanding job tonight. I know Gators fans will hate to hear it, but the focus to not call Scoop Smith down on what ended up being one of the best plays you'll see all season. The officials have done a good job tonight. Reed.
Strong hands by Louis June.
Gets dragged down by the senior after a moderate gain on first down. The clock winds with 3:49 to go in the 4th quarter. Yeah, took the stiff arm and still got that right hand out there and held on, pulling down Reed, who is no slouch at 5'10", 185 pounds.
And I think Louis June has played just about every snap both ways. He and Sena Agbodzi, 55 and number 50, playing nearly every snap both ways in the trenches.
And to still have that strength at this point in the game as Reed is upended at the 10-yard line. Gators will call a timeout here on what will be 3rd and about 5 for Woodland Hills. They got to get the ball close to the 16-yard line, and it will be down at the 11 after that 2nd down run by Taylor Reed.
So this is a huge play out of this timeout. You opt to stop the clock there. You pretty much need to get off the field now with only 1 timeout left, still trailing by 2 scores. This is probably for the game.
Gators clinging to life. What has been a tremendous effort. Don Hall getting his squad up and ready for this rivalry game against a Woodland Hills team that has just been blowing out the competition. 4 straight wins for the Wolverines, trying to make it 5. And I think for Wolverines fans, both here at Antamarino Stadium and tuned in tonight here on GatewayGatorProductions.com, this one has not come as easily as I think they would have thought, based on where these two teams, from the jump of the broadcast, we talked about 2 teams heading in different directions, 5-2 versus 2-5. Gators losing 2 heartbreaking games in a row A 1-point loss here at home to Armstrong. A 10-point loss last week on the road at Penn Trafford in a game that they led at the halftime break by 16. On the other side, Woodland Hills has just been cutting like a hot knife through butter against their competition. And tonight, the Gators led briefly 21-20. Since then, it's been a 22-7 run by the Wolverines. And they're going to get the first down here, and that for all intents and purposes, with the Gators having just one timeout left and needing 2 scores, will do it.
Yeah, you're not going to really have much of a chance to stop the clock enough. The clock's going to run now as he went down in bounds, so that helps Woodland Hills' cause. That'll pretty much do it. And another physical run from Reed, who early on really didn't have much. As the Gateway defense wore down, his physicality became a huge advantage for the Wolverines. We saw more stiff arms. We saw him getting to the perimeter to beat up on some undersized defensive backs. Really good performance by him in the second half.
Jackson Smith not going quietly into the night here at Antamarino Stadium. He gets into the backfield and rocks Taylor Reed. Smith certainly has been a spark plug for the Gators defense, and getting him back tonight made a world of difference, even though they've allowed 42 points.
Yeah, you know he's going to play hard through the final whistle all night, and you saw it on that play.
Wolverines taking all the time here, 10 on the play clock. Looks like they might even just let this one go all the way down before calling their second timeout of the second half. They do, which will stop the clock at 1:55 remaining. So Woodland Hills will move to 6-2. 4-0 in conference play. That should secure a playoff berth for the second year in a row. The Wolverines come into this game against the Gators, secure a physical victory. Last year was a 1-point win at the Wolverina, 28-27. A late missed extra point sunk the Gators in that one. This time, just a barrage of explosive plays late in the game to pull away from a Gators team that brought it tonight. They just couldn't overcome 5 interceptions offensively. So Woodland Hills will move to 4-0. They're that much closer to a second consecutive undefeated conference championship. And for the Gators, who a few short weeks ago sat at 2-0, heading into that contest against Armstrong, now reeling at 2-3 with one more conference game next week at Latrobe. A team that's struggling in its own right, before one more non-conference matchup at Hempfield. And then we'll see what that bracket looks like for the postseason. Now the Wolverines going to take a shot over the top to scoop Smith. And Smith going to get dragged down at the 30.
Wow. Keeping the pedal down.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that call.
It's a rivalry game. Sometimes you just want to deliver the last blow. I mean, it's not done like Woodland Hills could not kneel it out and run the clock completely down. With 2 scores, you never know. They're taking a risk by putting the ball in the air. So they flip the field. They feel a lot safer about it now, and now they can kneel it out. They needed a first down to do that. So, you know, it's an aggressive play call, certainly. Maybe not the favorite ending if you're a Gateway fan.
Josh, I'll give you this. You handled that about as classy as a broadcaster could, and I will totally leave it at that. The Wolverines execute the long pass play to Smith.
Smith did have a return touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown. So, I mean, it would have been pretty impressive if he had a receiving touchdown. I don't know if that seeped into the minds of the coaching staff on the Woodland Hills sideline, probably not what you should be thinking about in a conference game.
I was
that
going to
you
say,
won
if that
close.
is where your focus is at this point, then that's derelict of duty.
No, that's where my focus probably is after seeing the play and him nearly break it away for a touchdown.
I mean, that kick return touchdown is still, I think, one of the signature plays that you'll see out of the district this season. To be able to maintain balance, shed tacklers, and Scoop's not a big guy.
No.
Not even just the height-wise. He's just not a big guy. But the strength in the low center of gravity, like you talked about, certainly impressive. For the Gators tonight, their man of the match, you'd think would have to be Julian Dancier, well over 100 yards. Put together an impressive performance here in what will be a losing effort. Let's just take one more look at the excellent angle our camera crew got. And it's not even that balance, but they're shedding 2-3 tackles.
Yeah, we've only really talked about staying up, and then he also broke 2 tackles immediately after that, and then still won a foot race with everybody, which he's always gonna do.
Yeah, all of this happened behind everyone else.
Yeah.
So there was still opportunity to bring him to the ground. The Gators were unable to do so, and the Wolverines made just enough plays tonight in a bitter rival game here on a cooler night at Antimarino Stadium. And now these two teams will shake hands, with the Wolverines moving to 4-0 in Big East play.
Another look at the touchdown. And correct me if I'm wrong, this was after Gateway had just taken the lead, and Woodland Hills responded to tie the game up with this kick return touchdown. All the momentum was on the Gateway side, and Scoop Smith just took it all away with an incredible performance from an incredible player who's going to go down as one of the greats in their program history, and it is a very storied history.
Incredibly so. They have a wall inside the Wolverine between the locker rooms with the list of players who've gone on to play at the next level, and it is expansive for a program that only really started in the late 80s and flourished from that point onward under George Novak. The Gators come up short tonight, a third straight heartbreaking loss, Josh. It just feels like close, no proverbial cigar. What do the Gators got to do to get over the hump here?
I think you just keep doing what you did. You played a really good game on the offensive side of the ball. There are 5 interceptions. You want to clean that up. Some of those are just really good plays by the defensive players, especially on screen passes and things like that. You've got a young quarterback who you saw adapt to a really good defense, right? You made adjustments throughout the game. You ran the ball really well. You know that now we can lean on Dancier going forward. He looks like an absolute bell cow. There are a lot of positives to take away. I also think just how thin this team has gotten in the trenches, that showed up in the second half. And it was pretty inevitable that Woodland Hills was eventually going to just lean on them and wear them out in the trenches. You saw that in the running game. And then on the outside, the defensive backs, they couldn't hold up in man coverage for long enough. It was a really impressive performance from Gateway for 3 quarters, hanging with one of the best teams in 5A.
And after going down 14-0,
yeah,
we talked about it. It might seem ad nauseum at this point, but they throw an interception. Woodland Hills looks every bit ready to go up 21-0. The Gators stem the tide. They're able to generate some turnovers. During that middle part of the game, second, third quarter, I thought the defense played lights out. Multiple 3-and-outs in a row. The Gators were starting every drive, plus territory, just unable to execute and make the plays when it mattered the most. But a lot of the guys you've mentioned, Dancier, Mason Mitchell, they're going to be back next year. And not already looking at next year. The path to the playoffs is still open for the Gators. We talked about it off the air. 12 out of 19 teams make it. 2/3 make it, 1/3 don't. All you got to do is be in that top 2/3. A win against Latrobe next week is a must-win for the Gators if they have any hopes. But depending on what happened against Kiski and Armstrong tonight, if Armstrong was able to pull out a win there, you got a tiebreaker over Kiski. Someone's got to get in. Gators might still be that team.
Yeah, I think you have a chance to lick your wounds a little bit tomorrow. get ready for next game. This isn't when you were looking at the schedule preseason or even midway through the year. This isn't one you would pencil in as, oh, okay, that's a win. This is a team that hasn't lost since they came back into the Big East Conference. They won it undefeated last year. So that's a really good Woodland Hills team on the other side. I think there are a lot of positives that Gateway can spin forward for a playoff push. And then, as you mentioned, if you allow yourself to peek into the future a little bit, some really big picture positives.
Well, you're playing a tough schedule. We started with State College, a district champ in 6A from the middle of the state, North Allegheny. Anyone in Western Pennsylvania knows that is a program that is perennially in the championship game in 6A.
Woodland Hills knows that. That's one of their 2 losses.
Woodland Hills, a tough test tonight. Last week, you had a 16-point lead over Penn Trafford. It feels like for a team that is starting their second quarterback on the year who is a freshman, there's still so much happening that you feel good about, just can't get it across the finish line. And it's got to be frustrating tonight, but for Don Hall and company, there's certainly some things to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week, you got to just find a way to get across the finish line. However it is, doesn't have to be pretty, but you got to start putting some wins on the board. Close can matter when they're looking at the wild cards and that criteria. It doesn't hurt your case to have a competitive loss against good teams, but you got to start putting some wins up if you want to be considered in that wild card picture.
Gators fall to 2-6 on the season, 2-3 in the Big East. They have a must-win game next week at Greater Latrobe. We will have that game for you here, 7 p.m. kickoff next Friday on GatewayGatorProductions.com. The Woodland Hills Wolverines, with a 42-28 victory, moved to 6-2 on the season and 4-0 in Big East play. You'll see them in the postseason. The Gators hope to join them there next week. Will be pivotal to find out if that will come to fruition for the Gators. That'll do it for us tonight, and on behalf of our entire crew, and for my broadcast partner, Josh Yorish, always great to call games with you. Love the insight. Appreciate you being here, and we'll do it again next week. I'm Vince Russo. I want to thank you one more time for tuning in tonight to GatewayGatorProductions.com. Have a great night, everyone.